New seasons, new gear. Show the world what it means to be a fan in 100% authentic gear. Fanatics, officially licensed everything.
Get ready to dive into a new world of online shopping with the Finn's Tailgate. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or just looking for the latest fashion trends, we've got you covered. With a wide variety of products from your favorite sports teams to stylish accessories and home decor, we're your one-stop shop for all things tailgate. Our easy-to-use website and hassle-free checkout process make shopping with us a breeze. Plus, with frequent sales and discounts, you won't want to shop anywhere else. So come on in and join the party at the Finn's Tailgate, your new go-to destination for all things tailgate.
Good morning, Finn fans. That's right. Good morning, Finn fans. This is Ali the Persian. I'm your host, and this is the Top of the Tailgate. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's Top of the Tailgate. I'm your host, and today we have a very great show planned for you. Let me introduce my co-host, Color. What's up, baby?
Me. Somehow.
Yep, we're all up, Color. I got my coffee rolling. It's Wednesday. Week's almost over. Rolling into the holiday week. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm kind of hyped, bro. We're that much closer to training camp, and I can't wait. So make sure you hit like and subscribe. While you're hanging out with us, getting all crazy. Check out some of our other content. We got El Capitan and the TFTG show Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So he'll probably be going on tonight. In addition, he does Sundays during the season. I can't wait. He'd be calling games. We got Color and a cup of coffee and myself doing the morning show, Top of the Tailgate. And maybe Color be going today either at the end or right after with cup of coffee with Color. Right, Color? You got the big list to go over?
We do, and I'm trying to figure out the best time to do it today. I kind of want to do it more to prime time. I'm trying to give everybody a chance to watch it while we go live, because I'm probably going to have a small panel for those that might want to talk about it afterwards, after I announce the top 25 most productive passers in 2022. And I think that given with the amount of cleanup I had to do in chat this morning, I think that some Buffalo fans might be a little taken back by where Josh Allen landed on that list, as opposed to the top three quarterbacks. And I've got a really, really surprise quarterback that landed in the number 3 spot.
Wow.
Gonna blow y'all's minds. So make sure you got the notification bell rung. I'm probably going to do it closer in the evening time today to give everybody a chance to watch. I just got to kind of feel out that right time. I got to make sure nobody else is, I'm not stepping on nobody else's toes. But if I have to, I might go mid-afternoon. But I feel like if I do it this morning after Top of the Tailgate, that it just won't get the reach that it deserves. But I've been teasing everybody with it for a better part of 2 weeks now. So we're getting it done today, whether it's today or this evening.
Oh, definitely.
It's happening, people. Top 25 most productive passers of 2022. And make sure you very clearly understand that it is the most productive passers and
Well,
productive.
I will productively not pass on that show, Color. So you need to make sure you tell me when you're doing it, because I definitely want to tune in.
Absolutely. You'll be the
part of the
first to know.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, check out Top of the Tailgate with myself or Color at any point, because he sometimes goes right after this show. Sometimes he does mid-afternoon. Sometimes he prime times it. Color's all over the place. So definitely check that out. We also got Loose and Shake Money doing the Smoke Lounge, Drive Times, doing Twitter Spaces, shaking hands, kissing babies. That's right. Lewis and Shake Money, rock and roll to them. You can also check out Shake Money on Larry K's channel in the Blender, which, yes, I'm going to be on it at some point, coming soon. So stay tuned. We'll announce that shortly when that will happen. But yeah, if you're also, like the content, you want to donate to the channel, you don't have to, but we really appreciate it. We accept Cash App, Venmo. For Cash App, it's the money sign Fin's Tailgate, or Venmo the Fin's Tailgate. We also do super chats and super stickers. We appreciate that. And you don't have to, but we appreciate it. If you really like the content and you want more of it, you want to get notified sooner, like cool emojis and other content that comes along with it, the most inexpensive way to donate to the channel is becoming a member. That's right. We have 3 different memberships. We have Amigos, Familia, and MVP. And it's, I believe Amigos is really inexpensive. And you get access to emojis and stuff. And there is a new, I will sneak peek this, there is a new emoji coming out soon. So stay tuned for that. Our guy in the back, HB, shout out to him. He's going to be creating a new one that's going to be special for the members. So make sure that you're a member, because it's the only way you'll have access to this emoji. All right. It's going to be unique. But yeah. And as we saw that lovely voice announce about Fanatics, shout out to our affiliate. We have a link below. A good way to help out the channel is by making sure, if you're purchasing something from Fanatics, that you use the link below in the description. Fanatics has officially licensed everything from hats, jerseys, jackets. I think they even have shorts on their Color that I thought about getting. They have all the mugs, all the memorabilia you can think of, signed memorabilia that's officially licensed and signed and all that stuff and certified. So definitely check out Fanatics. While you're checking out Fanatics, we also have a link to Backroom Collections. Backroom Collections sells really awesome canvas artwork for your favorite Miami Dolphins, specific players, and or in addition, other teams. They do custom work as well. It's stuff that you can hang anywhere in your household, place of business, your office, wherever, restaurant, doesn't matter. You can hang something that they sell there. They also sell all those the visors for those little mini helmets that everyone collects and usually gets signed at different events. Color, that reminds me. I didn't know how popular those mini helmets were. Every time I'm at some Miami Dolphin event or some event for the NFL, everybody has them and they're getting them signed like crazy. I couldn't believe it.
Because they take up such less space than the big full size helmets, man. People can get every helmet they want because they're so tiny.
Yeah, I guess for me it's like, I like the full size one because I can have it signed by multiple people. You know what I mean? That's kind of like how I look at it. I don't know. This is my opinion. But yeah, check out Backroom Collection. And don't forget Doobie Energy Drink. Doobie Energy Drink is, they have a variety of different flavors and different energy supplements. They claim they don't cause jittering and crashing at the end like other energy drinks. And unlike other energy drinks, they don't have a lot of the harmful sugars and the byproducts that you don't want in an energy drink that's harmful for the body. They have a lot more minerals and vitamins and stuff in them that provide natural caffeine and also benefit the brain, specifically in focus and concentration. So check Doobie Energy Drink. Shake Money has a video he's put out of his review of it. He is now going to be because he got the variety pack. He's going to start doing reviews of every flavor. So stay tuned for that with Shake Money. So, and I know other people in the
By the way,
also
check out the chat, bro. Sorry.
Oh, we will definitely. That was my next stop. But
No. I mean, check it out. It might not show up in StreamYard, but look what the emoticon says. Look what the code for it is. It's there already, bro.
You already put it? Okay, well, if you're a member, you can see the new emoji. And that's because of yours truly. I suggested it. I can't see it from StreamYard, unfortunately, Color. So I'm gonna have to. Let me do that.
Well, on StreamYard it just says the code. It doesn't show the picture, but the code is the code for the new emoji is _ TFTG Bloodflow.
That's awesome. Yeah, eat your heart out, especially the guy that flooded our chat with
Oh yeah, there he is right there.
Yeah, the Josh Allen is the next Elway or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Josh Allen is the next Carson Wentz. That's who that was. And just so you know, Josh, contrary to the narrative that we gatekeep around here, I went through and deleted each one of your spammed messages so that our Dolphin fans wouldn't see your novel, your Josh Allen novel in our chat this morning. I went through and deleted each individual comment as a courtesy to you when I could have just, like, if I would have banned you, it would have deleted all the comments at the same time. I wouldn't have had to go through each individual one. So I did you the favor this morning, but please don't spam our chat like that, bro. I'm just going to do the easy way next time. And I'd rather not have to do that.
And when Color is saying spamming, it's literally like 20 comments in a row, bro. And it's not just a sentence; it's a full-blown paragraph. 20.
I mean, I respect the game, bro. Getting in here early and doing that, I do. I totally respect the game. That's why I deleted each one of them. But I don't have time to do that every day. So the next time, I'm just gonna have to do it the easy way with the stick. You know what I mean? So respect for the game, but you know, you're a Bills fan. This is a Dolphin channel. Just keep the spam to a minimum, please.
Yeah, we got a banter, but anyway, let's keep it going, Color. But anyway, shout out to all of our affiliates. You know, definitely check out the links below. And specifically for Fanatics, if you'd like to save 10% off your purchase order for both Doobie Energy Drink and Backroom Collection, use code TFTG at checkout, just so you're aware. But for Fanatics, definitely use the link. It has all the same deals that you would get using the normal website for Fanatics. It has all the same, you know, specials and whatnot, all the same stuff. It's just that when you use the link, it helps out the channel. We really appreciate that. So, all right, let's keep it moving, Color.
Yeah, by the way, that's like name dropping when you go there. You go there and you tell them we sent you. That's basically what using the link does. It's like dropping our name.
Exactly. So let's shout out to everybody in the chat. We obviously know the Buffalo Bills fans are here. Josh Allen is the next Elway. So thank you for joining the chat. We appreciate it. Raphael's here. Raphael's always here, man. I swear he's here morning, night, afternoon, evening. Doesn't matter. He's here. So shout out to them. I see some Facebook user is here saying good morning. If you're part of the Facebook or Twitch or other or Twitter, come on over to the YouTube side, hit like and subscribe, join the chat, join the conversation. Let's see. Timothy Webb's up in here. Mike C. We always appreciate, man. Mario Gonzalez. Shout out to you. I apologize if I don't say this name correctly and correct me, Color. Eric Von Rogers. Is that right?
That's pretty dang good, Ali. That's what I would have said. I would have put the, you know, a little bit of a more Germanic pronunciation like Von Rogers, but yeah, that'll work. Von Rogers works.
Okay. Sorry if I didn't say it right. But good morning to you, man. I see you on the Facebook side. Come over to YouTube if you'd like. Let's see. Tuna. This is Michael K. It has to be. Tuna loves butt chugs.
Yeah, he was rocking that last night. I saw it, or yesterday.
Yep. Shake Money's in the house. What's up, Shake Money? We see you. Cool Rich here. We already have our first donation, Color.
Oh, look at that. Timothy Webb, appreciate you.
Just showing love, fins up. Thank you, Timothy. I appreciate that, man.
Well, we're showing love back, man. Fins up to
Definitely,
you too.
100%. So, shout out to everybody.
Raphael Courtright says I should just forego worrying about the time slot for the quarterback show
Why?
because he wants to see it.
Yeah, don't worry about the time slot, bro. You're here all the time anyway, so it'll probably happen when you're here.
Good morning, Kenna. Kenna just getting into the chat. Good morning.
Yeah, what's up, man? How you been, Kenna? All right, so make sure you hit like and subscribe, as I stated. Color, as we've been doing every top of the tailgate, it always got to start with coffee, bro. And I'm rocking the Seattle's Best Portside. I've been talking up Seattle's Best for a hot minute now. And Seattle's Best Coffee originated in the Washington area. Two brothers, also known as the... oh boy, hold on one second. Also known as the Stewart brothers.
Coffee guys.
They were also known as the Stewart brothers coffee. Brewed a surprisingly smooth coffee, only using a 12-pound peanut roaster. So that was kind of interesting. And that's how they got started. Later on, they bought a bigger shop on an island called Vashon Island. And then they started providing coffee to around Seattle. And then they won a competition for the best cup of coffee in Seattle. And because they won the competition, they decided to change their name to Seattle's Best Coffee. And that's what they've been known ever since. They have a variety of different flavors. They have some unique flavors and whatnot. And it's really good coffee in my opinion. I do agree. I kind of like the house blend, but Portside is not bad. It's a medium roast. It has like little vanilla undertones, just to give you some flavor idea to it. But it's really it's pretty good damn coffee. Color has tried both the Portside and house blend, and I believe you settled on the house blend as being one of your favorites that you actually really like. Isn't that correct, Color?
Yep. The house blend is good, and it's actually good enough to be part of my regular cycle of, because let's face it, we all buy coffee based on which ones are on sale at Publix, don't lie. That's so, true. Yeah, that one is now one that I look for a sale on and get in my regular cycle. So, yep, for sure.
Yeah, so just so you're aware, you can get this either at Publix, Walmart, or Amazon, or you can buy.
By the way, the reason I know everybody does that is because they're always sold out by the time I get there. So obviously everybody's buying the ones on sale.
I mean, Color, come on, you can't beat buy one get one. Come on, everybody knows this.
I know, as expensive as that nonsense is, you're right. It's like you gotta do it. You almost are forced to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't know, if you're not in the loop, Publix grocery stores, which are primarily in the southeast region of the United States. So if you're somewhere where there isn't one, I'm sorry, but there may be something similar that has similar deals. They always have a Keurig coffee cup on sale. They also have regular coffee on sale, but they always have a big deal. And usually it's buy one, get one. And with how expensive coffee is today, it's like usually the best deal. Like I get like almost a month's worth by doing that. You know what I mean? So for one price. So I mean, you can't beat it. But Seattle's Best is one of my favorites. They've been in business for about 45 years, just so you know. And like I said, they have a variety of different flavors. Some interesting ones I haven't tried yet, actually. Like they have one called 6th Avenue Bistro. It's more of a darker blend. So
that's kind of like, getting close to Italian espresso if they're putting a bistro label on it,
Yeah.
6th Avenue Bistro. It's going to be like an Italian dark, like a espresso almost.
Yeah. They also have a different version of it called Organic Fair Trade 6th Avenue Bistro. and I'm actually trying to see if I can find out what the difference is.
Who do we have a fair trade agreement with right now? Colombia, I think, Venezuela, I think, and Canada or something like that.
Yeah, everybody is trying to tell me that all the comments that I'm reading here on Seattle's Best Coffee, there's all these people saying that this organic fair trade 6th Avenue Bistro, the organic version, is like the smoothest cup that Seattle's Best has. And
really?
that it's like, it says perfectly smooth and bold is what they're saying. So if you're like a guy that's into bold coffee,
Wait, you can't be smooth and bold at the same time. Aren't they like the same magnifier? Like, aren't they in the same, like, aren't they competing words in the same category?
that's a good question, Color. Remember, I'm not your coffee connoisseur yet. You know what I mean? I'm new to this. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I guess if you're talking about regular English language, grammar, like smooth and bold, I guess you could be smooth and bold at the same time. Like, you can make a really bold decision and do it in a really smooth way, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're kind of right. Yeah, that's I kind of see what.
Yeah,
you're saying.
non-bold would be like breakfast blend.
Yeah, that would be breakfast blend, which I've had. It's not that great, to be honest. One thing that sticks out about Seattle's Best, specifically the flavors I've gotten, I like the smell of the coffee. It's, some coffee, like my wife explains it perfectly. There's some coffee when it's made, the aroma smells like shit. You know what I mean? That's what she said.
Well, I mean, when you're rocking that, $50 a cup goat turd coffee, I mean, yeah, I can see it smelling like that.
So she's like, that's what she says all the time. She's like, did the dog have an accident? Can you look around? And she's like, oh, you're making coffee. You know what I mean? She hates coffee that much, right?
Wow.
And like this one I actually made, she's like, that actually smells good. I was like, yeah, I know.
Wow.
So so for me, when I do reviews, the aroma that it gives off when you brew it is a big thing for me. That's like, it has to be good. You know what I mean? That's like
right.
On my rating scale.
Is she aware about the really, really expensive coffees and how some of them are made?
Yeah, she's very aware of that kind of stuff. So she actually tells me about it. I learn more about it from her.
Oh man, I just can't imagine. And it's not as if it's like, okay, we feed our coffees. For those that don't know, there's this coffee you can get in one of the higher class coffee shops in New York, and I'm sure you can get it other places too. But so apparently, I don't know which country it comes from over in the Middle East or Africa or something. But what they do is they feed the coffee beans to goats, and then the goats poop them out, and then they brew the beans after they've been through the goat's digestive system. Like, I guess that's how they, instead of roasting the beans, that's kind of how they get them open. You know what I mean? I guess I'm not really sure exactly the process, but suffice it to say, this is goat turd coffee basically, and the stuff is like the most expensive coffee they got on the menu. It's like $50 for a little shot of it.
So
apparently, I've never tried it. It's like this world-renowned coffee.
Yeah, it's I believe it's called Kopi Luwak. I don't know if I said that correctly. Kopi Luwak is closely connected to a history of coffee production in Indonesia. Dutch colonists established coffee plantations in Indonesia and imported beans from Yemen. In the 19th century, farmers in central Java started to brew and drink coffee from excreted beans collected at their plantations. Oh man, damn, Color, that might be a coffee we might just have to do just to try it once and said we did it.
I'm afraid, bro. I really am, man. I don't know why.
I know what you mean. And And if you look at the beans afterwards, color, I'm looking at pictures. Yeah, I don't want to try it now.
Hey, we'll have to find the curry cups because that way we don't have to look at the coffee. We just think it's in the cup, man.
That's true. That is definitely true. All right, learn something new. All right, do you have what are you drinking right now, color? I know you don't have Seattle's Best at this moment.
No, I'm actually. There wasn't really. I mean, nothing caught my eye. I wanted to maybe do some 8 o'clock, but I just got some McCafe right at the moment. Good medium roast, good smooth. Probably this is my favorite. Probably the smoothest on the shelf, and 100% Arabica beans and just really good flavor. I mean, I don't go with their dark or their light. I just go with their medium, which is pretty much what they serve you at their stores.
Yeah,
and it's better than what they serve at the stores. So just like the Dunkin' Donuts, you're gonna, house brew is always better. You can control all the stuff going in it better, and
Yeah, I definitely hear you. I mean, it's kind of funny you mentioned McCafe because who would have thought that a really good smooth coffee that tastes really good is actually the McDonald's brand.
I'll tell you who thought that. $1 billion research and development team they have at McDonald's came up with the most. Because here's the thing, Ali.
Good.
It's the same thing as I say with their cookies. Have you ever had their chocolate chip cookies?
Yeah, their cookies are actually halfway decent.
Not only halfway decent, but I submit to you that they are the most perfect cookie ever created by man. They are absolutely perfect in every way. They're the right amount of crispiness on the edge, the right amount of softness in the middle, you know what I mean? The right amount of chocolate chips per cookie. They are absolutely perfect in every way. That doesn't mean they're the best because, we want an imperfect cookie. You know what I mean? You don't want a perfect cookie. Who wants a perfect cookie? You know what I mean? If we made a perfect cookie, nobody would ever have to cook cookies again, because we got the way. You just do this and they're perfect cookies, right? So we want a little imperfection in our cookies. So the reason that McDonald's cookies are not the best cookies is because they're actually too perfect. And I think that's the same way with their coffee. It's just their research and development team made sure that they've got the most perfect cookie and coffee and everything else they serve that's like that. You know what I mean? That's actually real food, not their normal baseline fake food, Oh
yeah, definitely. If you want, in my opinion, like one of the best cookies, I'm not going to say perfect cookie, only because everybody has a different description of what perfect is.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why it can't be the best. You know what I mean? It can only be perfect, and perfect ain't the best.
Yeah, I definitely understand. If you're in the Orlando area, go to Disney Springs and go to a place called Gideon's. And Gideon's is a bakery. They make cookies that are off the chain, bro. We're talking about like each cookie is like half a pound, bro. They're huge, right? And their flavors and different unique stuff you wouldn't think is really good. Like, for example, I get something called pistachio chocolate chip, which is it has like pistachios loaded with chocolate chips and other stuff as well. And they're addicting. I was very skeptical at first. I tried one, and after the first bite, bro, I ended up trying to eat the whole box out of everybody. Like, I was trying to take everybody's cookie at that point. It was so good. So check them out if you ever get a chance, Color. But yeah, let's keep it going, Color. So we just went over our coffee. Now we gotta go to the lighthearted time. We're gonna go to Cause for Cleats. Yes, we do Cause for Cleats here. Cause for Cleats, just so you're aware, today's cause is brought to you by Durham Smythe. Durham Smythe's Cause for Cleats is Austin Pets Alive. You can go to austinpetsalive.org. Just so you know, Austin Pets Alive is not your average animal shelter. They pioneer comprehensive, innovative programs designed to save the animals most at risk for euthanasia. Their mission is to promote and provide the resources, education, and programs needed to eliminate the killing of companion animals. Their vision is that every shelter animal, I should say, in Central Texas and beyond get a true chance at the life they deserve. It goes on. They have their values and everything here. A variety of different programs you can see on their website. How to donate, provide help if you need pet help. There's a lot of stuff here, about Austin Pets Alive and what they do for pets and companion animals and whatnot. So just so you're aware, and let me go to this. So Austin, just so you're aware, Austin, Texas, is proudly the largest and longest running no-kill city in the nation, thanks to the groundbreaking and unique partnership between Austin Pets Alive and the city's municipal shelter. You may not know this, but a lot of times in certain cities and areas, because overabundance or for various different reasons, a lot of companion animals are put to sleep, unfortunately. The programs like this help, maybe finding better homes or someone to adopt them, so they don't have to be put to sleep. We understand, because of crowded areas and stuff, and certain animals that, certain populations, there's an overabundance, and unfortunately there's not as many homes out there. So that's reasons why they may be in line to be euthanized. Just so you know, this program has saved over 110,000 plus companion animals since 2008. They released their live release rate for the city of Austin is 98%. And they've gone 9 years as the largest no-kill city in the country, just so you know, because of this program. Let me see what else I can tell you about them. Just give me one moment. So if you want to know more about their story, Austin Pets Alive began when vulnerable homeless pets truly needed them the most. When they first imagined, Austin had a kill rate of 87%. So 87% of companion animals were put to sleep at the time that couldn't find homes. Through hardships, they found inspiration, and through the inspiration, they have saved lives. They learn more about their journey to become and maintaining their status as the longest and largest no-kill city in the country. And there's a whole calendar of all the stuff that they've done and what they've contributed and how the programs have helped. Companion animals are not just for, us as we're growing up to have like a pet. It's also for people of need. There's companion animals for senior citizens. They bring in animals to hospitals now to help, make people feel better and whatnot. There's a lot of stuff both on the psychological end as well as, the personal end on why, there's a need for these types of companion animals and whatnot. And, shout out to Durham Smythe and, bringing people aware to these programs. So if you get a chance, check out austinpetsalive.org. There's a lot of information there, and shout out to them. Do you have anything to say on that, Color?
No, other than the great cause, I'm not really like, a big activist when it comes to the animals things, but I really am an animal lover, and I actually do donate to another cause for animals as well. So I do, I just don't wear it on my shoulder is all, because, that comes with baggage. But at the same time, great cause. It's good to know that there's, that many animals being, saved like that, and let's face it, there's a lot of people out there, especially these companion animals that, some of them have lived decent lives and just need somebody else to keep going with, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they end up needing a companion at some point, so
Oh yeah,
great cause. And
yeah.
the only other thing I'd say is, am I the only one that like gets aggravated with these commercials, uh, from organization that'll remain nameless, where like the commercial, the dog's in the in the little thing freezing its ass off. You know what I mean? And like, am I the only one that's sitting there going, could we have gotten the dog a blanket before we started filming the thing? Like, is somebody going to
Yeah,
help that dog in the film crew?
I hear your pain with that. It's kind of like you have video of it. Why didn't you do anything, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a catch-22. They gotta, they want to show and make an impact, but they could have just told us the dog was in that condition. I mean, and got the dang thing a blanket.
Yeah, or when they brought him in to help him out in the medical office or whatever, taking pictures of the condition he was in or something. You know what I mean? Rather than I see what you're saying.
Right. Somebody there with like a camera, like filming the people picking up the dog out of the thing or something. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's just standing there shivering. Like, okay, anybody gonna help this dog?
Definitely. All right, Color, let's keep it moving though. I definitely hear you what you're saying, but if you guys get a chance, check out Austin Pets Alive. Definitely great cause. And like I've had personal experiences too, as well with family and stuff, and that we actually I never knew how losing a pet could affect somebody as much it has some of my family members. They lost their dog, unfortunately, and they saw their dog as like their child, essentially. And yeah, it was very, I could see that the person was becoming very, very depressed. And they eventually adopted another dog, same type of dog. There was a rescue for this type of dog. And, it helped them out. It brought the joy back into their life and everything. So that actually, that was kind of heartfelt to me and whatnot. And my dog, honestly, it's half German Shepherd, half Doberman. She's a rescue dog. We got her from the Humane Society. And, if something happens to her or when she ends up leaving this earth, knock on wood, it's not anytime soon, I'm going to be heartbroken, like hardcore. So, yeah. I know how important
Yeah,
it is and whatnot.
agreed. I was never really a dog guy either. I'm more of a cat lover, but I went through a time in my life many, many moons ago where, I didn't, somebody had got me a dog, and I was a little like, it was total Turner and Hooch, man. Like, it was like, I didn't want this dog. I didn't want to take care of it. It was a pain in the rear. It's a very, very energetic Yorkie, and they can be they're real high maintenance, and I thought I was just like, what do you do to me, But I tell you what, 17 years later, and he's kind of getting to be an old man too, and yeah, I can't imagine a day without him, man. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%. All right, Color. Let's keep it moving. I want to get down to the stuff we have to talk today about, because there's a lot and there's some fun stuff we're gonna do with you and the audience. So I can't wait to get to that. Let's get moving here though, and I want to. Do you know what the traffic report is? It's currently in Miami. I see here, as of 6:39 a.m. It's 82 degrees. Today's high is 89. Currently feels like 89 degrees. Humidity is at 80%. Looks like it's partly cloudy. Afternoon showers is probably something you're going to see. This week, it looks like there's a lot more rain and lightning storm that's going to happen going into the weekend. Actually, throughout the weekend, unfortunately. So, do you have any traffic reporting for us at all?
Sure, absolutely. I'm ready to go when you are.
Go for it.
Morning traffic report brought to you by TFTGnetwork.com. We got your usual slowdowns approaching all the intersections. Everything looks pretty clear and going, though. No major accidents to report. And, of course, you got your normal delays starting to build up at the Palmetto Expressway, Dolphin Expressway. You know the same choke points. And, of course, if you're in the 305, whichever way you're going, turn the other way. And be safe, wear your seatbelt, keep enough distance, and use your right-hand blinker. This has been your TFTGnetwork.com traffic report.
Awesome. Thank you for the traffic report, Color. So let's talk some football now. So let's see what we got going on. I have a slew of articles to read regarding the Miami Dolphins, but I just want to make sure there's no late breaking news real quick. So I'm going to check out what they got going on around the sports world today, just to see if there was anything that populated. And just bear with me one moment. Here we go. NFL.
Oh, my pepper perked back up, man. I thought it died.
There you go. So sad news was reported when Ryan Mallett was reported to have drowned in Florida yesterday.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Ryan Mallett passed away at the age of 35 yesterday. My prayers and everything go out to the Mallett family. If you didn't know who Ryan Mallett was, he was former Arkansas and NFL QB and current high school football coach. He was in a drowning accident yesterday, so just so you're aware.
Wow.
May he rest in peace.
Do they know the nature of that, or is any details on that? Or I mean, a 30-some-year-old guy don't just drown, man.
Let me read what this says.
Sounds like maybe some adventure sporting or something, and then got caught, or who knows? That's interesting.
From what it says that first responders were called to the beach at 775 Gulf Shore Drive around 2:12 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, after a group of swimmers near a sandbar were struggling to get back to shore. According to Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, lifeguards pulled one of the individuals, later identified as Mallett, out of from under the water and said he wasn't breathing. Further responders performed life-saving maneuvers or measures on the former quarterback, but he was pronounced dead at the hospital, unfortunately.
Wow. See, that's right there. That's a cautionary tale. Even a 30-something-year-old healthy man and gets caught by a rip current. Sounds like he got caught in a rip current and couldn't get out of it. And, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, he was actually a head coach at Whitehall High School in Arkansas, just so you're aware of that. And their superintendent, they have a statement from him as well. He goes on to say, let me find it here. It was with great sadness that we share the loss of Coach Ryan Mallett. Whitehall School District said in a statement per ESPN, Coach Mallett was a beloved coach and educator. We ask that you remember his family, team, and students and fellow coaches and the Whitehall School District staff in your prayers. So essentially, yeah, man, he was kind of like what you would expect of a former quarterback, going back to your roots and becoming a head coach and everything. And Ryan Mallett really wasn't in the news or anything for any, crazy limelight or anything.
Man,
so
that's way too early there, guys. You know what I mean? Condolences to his family.
He was only 35 years old. So, yeah, that's pretty sad.
And again, pay attention to those signs, man. If they tell you there's rip currents going on and you shouldn't be swimming, just don't do it. Them things, I mean, you're talking about a middle-aged, healthy male that was an athlete that couldn't get out of it. If you think you're going to beat it out of them rip currents, you ain't gonna.
Mm-hmm. All right, Color. Yeah, so all right, let's get back to the action. DirecTV is now made a deal with the NFL to carry NFL Red Zone for the first time amid Sunday Ticket's move to YouTube TV. So that's kind of interesting. So if you're a DirecTV member, you will have access to NFL Red Zone now. Let's see what else.
So their answer to losing Sunday Ticket was add a channel that every other cable network already has.
Yeah, I think they're the ones that didn't have it. There was other,
Right.
like,
They didn't. You had
yeah.
to get it as right. You had to get it on like as a add-on to Game Pass or something if you wanted to have it. If you didn't have it with your normal cable company.
That's interesting. Um, Also in news, it is presumed that 2 of the top 5 running backs from last year could hold out until week 1. Both Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs. That's pretty interesting. They really want their money, bro. They're holding out and everything. So, I mean, shout out to them. I mean, it's arguably they both deserve it. I know the market right now is not great for running backs, unfortunately. But hopefully they can somehow meet in the middle somewhere regarding their long-term status at their teams. This was a big one. I shared this with you, Color. Leonard Fournette was in the news yesterday when his car caught on fire on the highway. And I don't know if you saw images of the car. Have you?
I did.
Yeah, it looked gruesome. Luckily, Leonard Fournette is not harmed or anything. But his car got toasted, and I mean toasted. Like I'm like even afraid to even get that type of car again, because I'm not. When a car catches on fire, yeah, it's gonna look toasted. But this looked like there would be no survivors or anything. There's no resistance to it. You know what I mean? It was. The engine bay was nothing but ashes, like, bro. I mean, to the core. You know what I'm saying? It looked bad. It looked bad.
It's a shame too, because it's such a nice looking interior, man. It's like, man, I was jealous.
Yeah, it was a Durango, right? Color? What he drives?
I believe so. I know it's a Dodge. I don't know which particular model, but it's definitely a Dodge.
Yeah, I can't. I was very surprised when I saw this. I was just like, yeah, I don't know if I'd be buying one of those after seeing what this can do. And it's not. It wasn't like an accident or whatever. His car just randomly caught on fire, from what I understand.
Yeah,
I don't know if they have the reason it happened or what caused it yet, but
of course, and there was no shortage of people piling on Twitter telling him to, he should have remembered his oil maintenance.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's see here if there's any other news. I'd love to show you that. That'd be something interesting. There's videos of Myles Garrett at some type of football camp for kids, and he was playing defensive end, and he showed no mercy on this little kid. So they're showing videos of it. I was like, yeah, if I show that, I'm gonna get dinged. But I wish you guys need to go check it out. Look up Myles Garrett showing no mercy. You'll see videos of it. It's kind of funny. Let's see if there's any other news that we missed that's important besides the Dolphin news. No, I think that's about it. Let's get to the Dolphin news. Make sure you hit like and subscribe if you're just joining us. We're going to get into this Dolphin news. We have a lot to talk about today. Let's start off. We'll start off with the Dalvin Cook stuff, Color. We'll get that over with. Miami Dolphins have an offer on the table for free agent running back Dalvin Cook. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero is reporting that multiple teams have offered Dalvin Cook a contract, and according to Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, one of those teams is the Miami Dolphins. This is according to SB Nation. The Dalvin Cook saga will not end until the ink officially dries on the next contract. But according to a new report by NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, the veteran free agent has multiple offers on the table, suggesting a new deal could be imminent for playmaking running back. Report free agent goes on to explain, according to Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, one of those teams that has offered Cook a contract is the Miami Dolphins, a team Cook has been severely linked to this offseason, and one that the 27-year-old back called a perfect fit a few days ago. So I mean, we've seen this before, Color. We see players and agents um, basically shout out to their, childhood home team and everything. And, only to be setting up a larger contract elsewhere. We've seen that. We saw it in the off season. We're seeing it now. I would say the difference in this case is that we've seen Dalvin Cook and his agent wink, wink, nod, nod at the Miami Dolphins, like all through the offseason, even now, like full stream, like not, they have not let up on the fact that it sounds like they want to be, here in Miami. You know what I'm saying? The guy, his agent, in an interview said, Miami definitely would be a special place for him. He's gone even saying that Miami is a perfect fit for his talents. I don't know how much wink, wink, nod, nod that you have to do than that. Now, according to this, we have made an offer. Why hasn't he signed the offer yet is the biggest question. Isn't that right, Color?
Yeah, that would be the question.
Yeah, so basically, why has he not signed the contract yet? Well, part of it is look at the market for running backs today. You know what I mean? I've said it before on this show and other shows. The market has taken a dramatic dip for running backs. Kansas City Chiefs winning a Super Bowl with a 7th round running back. Yeah, it kind of proves that you don't need to always have the first round kind of guy or the top talent. Kansas City has always been able to have very good, talented running backs throughout their success. And it didn't always have to be first rounders, just so you're aware. But more recently, as this league becomes more of a passing league, you start to see these running backs, their value is starting to be diminished. I don't want to say like we're not going to sign running backs ever again. No, the running back is still a role. It's not where the money's at right now. It's not the place of need that we need the best of the best at the position. So you got guys like Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, even Dalvin Cook that's looking for their next contract, that's considering holding out so they get the best deal they can get. Now, Dalvin Cook, I don't expect him to hold out as long as Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs. I honestly think he has an amount in mind, and he's just trying to get as close to that as possible. He could very well sign, based on some of the things I've been reading and seeing, on Twitter and whatnot, he could very well sign today, tomorrow, or by the end of the week. It's very possible. Who he's going to sign with is the biggest question. I know the Miami Dolphins have been linked. Other teams such as the Jets has been linked. There's been even some rumors about Buffalo and the Patriots. Basically, the AFC East has been linked at some point or not. So it'll be very interesting to see what what happens. This is really the biggest report that we've gotten that he's actually been made an offer. So we know it's not just talk. An offer has been provided. I think it's just a matter of time when Miami and Dalvin Cook, meet in the middle regarding, what he thinks he's worth and what we actually want to pay. So those are my thoughts on it. There's also more to the article. They talk about what Jackson wrote on Twitter. Per sources with direct knowledge, Dolphins have indeed made an offer for Cook. He's not sure of the amount at all because he hasn't been told that. There's mutual interest. Cook has called Miami a perfect fit, is in no rush to sign. He has time to wait for a dollar amount he's comfortable with. So, seems like it's coming down to money, Cutler. What do you think?
It always does, man. It always does. I just don't want to be hearing next week that the guy signs with some other team for 12, 13 million bucks, and we were never even like, and it's another case of that of using us as leverage. I mean, I don't mean to sound cynical, but it seems to be like the track record. I mean, the only person that didn't do that to us was Tyreek Hill, and he admitted that he was trying to do it to us. So, what can you say?
I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying. If he really wants to be a Miami Dolphin, he would be one by now. I get that sentiment. But when you're in a market where, the value for running backs has diminished regarding financial part of it, it's kind of hard because I kind of think that this would be one of the last contracts that he may sign in his career, at least a decent one. So he's trying to bang for every buck. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? I understand. I mean,
and something tells me, even if the market is diminished with guys like Barkley and Jacobs doing what they're doing, something tells me that, diminished or not, he might get the money that we can't afford. And we got to be prepared for that, because it is about the money. And if we're sitting here going, look, all we can do is $6 million and some incentives, and somebody's willing to finally, break through the glass and give them 12, then what are you going to do?
Yeah, at that point, I agree with you. But honestly, I don't see it happening. I don't see, you've looked at the running backs that got the big contracts previously. You saw what happened to Ezekiel Elliott. He fizzled out and eventually released. You look at, you look at, these other running backs, as I mentioned before, Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. They just recently had, breakout seasons. And the most that their teams are willing to give them is the franchise, which is about what, $10 million, $10.1 million. That, and I don't think teams want to give more than that. So if a team does give them 12, more power to them, but I think they overpaid at that point.
Well, I just think there's teams out there that, even though all the owners or whoever the powers that be are all agree, oh, we're going to drive down the market, there's always that team that wants to put his face on a billboard because that's all they've got in their city, that ends up giving somebody like him a bunch of money like that.
Yeah, I hear you.
We got to get through 32 teams that are willing to foolishly spend. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely see it. But yeah. So
on that note, I think Barkley and Jacobs are basically, like, not to say that I'm, not to pat myself on the back, but I think they're in agreement with me in their own minds, and they're betting that somebody will, knee jerk and give them the bag. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with them. They're still young enough, and they haven't been. I don't think they've been in the league as long as Dalvin Cook, either of them. So to be honest,
but Barkley's had no shortage of problems staying on the field since he's been in the league, though. It was only last year that he finally put in a whole body of work, pretty much.
Yeah, even Josh Jacobs, he really broke out last season. Last season is really when he shined the most. So I do agree with you. And
in Barkley's case, he's probably riding a little bit on the McCaffrey coattails, saying, "Hey, look, nobody trusted him either, but he got back from injury and got back into form with San Francisco. They took a chance doing that, and it worked out for him. And I ended up being wrong. I thought McCaffrey was done like everybody else, and
I was one of them. Color, I said he was washed." Only because of the injuries and everything, he had.
Right, you're right. You pictured limited use, and cog in a wheel type running back at that point, and they turned out to be his normal 20-some point fantasy points per game self. You know what I mean?
Definitely. But yeah, that's as a football standpoint, I think we both can agree that Dalvin Cook is definitely an upgrade compared to some of the guys that we have on this team already in the running back room.
Sure.
So yeah, I understand, we want to win and we want to have the best talent we can put on the field and more weapons. So I definitely understand the point of bringing him in, but I think it just comes down to the price point Miami Dolphins are willing to bend. That's
mainly because you can say upgrade, but he's really not going to be an upgrade in quantity. Like, just because we bring the guy in here doesn't mean we're jumping up to 20, 25 carries per game. Doesn't matter what Mike McDaniel said he's going to do. It doesn't matter what he apologized for. He could very well have been apologizing for not running the ball more often when he should have. Not run the ball more often quantitatively over the season. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely understand.
Like I chose to pass in this situation when I should have chose to run. That's not saying, oh, I should have ran the ball more on the season.
Yeah.
That's just not the style of offense he's building. It just isn't. I could pull up 5 different articles explaining a West Coast offense till I'm blue in the face, but people still think we're going to rush the ball 25 times a game. And the fact of it is, if that's Dalvin Cook's gig, then there just ain't enough balls to go into his hands for $12 million or $10 million. We're just not using him that way.
Yeah.
If we are, then we might as well get rid of our entire wide receiver room if we're giving Dalvin Cook the ball 25 times a game. Keep Tyreek Hill or Waddle, whichever you prefer. Keep a guy to the level of Adam Thielen. Hand the ball to Dalvin Cook 25 times a game, and you've got the Minnesota Vikings. That's not us.
Yeah.
We got guys to feed in the wide receiver room. In case y'all didn't realize, we got 2 top 10 receivers in yardage, completions, all kinds, touchdowns, all kinds of stuff. Well, we're just going to start feeding the rock to a guy like Dalvin Cook 20 times a game? Nah, it ain't happening. It just ain't happening. And we're not paying $10 million for 15, 17 carries a game. Just not going to do it.
And I think that's kind of what is going on, Color, is the fact that we already know we're not going to use him in that fashion that he gets 25, 30 carries a game. And,
if we did, it would go against everything we've done to build the team to what we've built it because of what type of offense we're trying to build. If Mike McDaniel comes out and says, "Yo, Color's wrong. I'm building the farthest thing from a West Coast offense you can imagine," then I'd say, okay, let's feed the rock to Dalvin Cook 25 times a game. Because if that's not what we're doing, then we got all the wrong pieces on our team.
Yeah.
You're going to feed somebody the rock 25 times a game. You go get Derrick Henry. You don't even mess with Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I hear you. But listen, the Dolphins obviously see that there's value in him and they've made an offer. So.
Sure, exactly. And I think that offer is proportional to how we plan on using him. And that's why it's not the $10 million that, Dalvin's team probably wants. You know what I mean?
I highly doubt anybody's offered them $10 million. Otherwise, he would have signed with the Jets.
That may be true. That may be true. That may be true because the league, again, this is why the running backs are diminishing league wide because we're not the only ones converting to a West Coast system. It's a league wide across the league. You can look at a lot of teams and say, yeah, that's a West Coast system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what we mean when we say the league is a passing league. That's because everybody's converting to a passing style offense.
Yep. Wide receivers is where the money's at right now.
Short running game. That's why you got scat backs out the window everywhere. Pacheco getting all that playing time and yardage in his rookie year. All these other guys you see. I mean, that's just the way it is right now. If it wasn't, we would have signed Leonard Fournette yesterday.
I don't know if it would be Leonard Fournette, but I think we would have signed somebody.
Yeah, I was thinking more of that body type, like not necessarily him, you know what I mean? But like that body type,
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely understand. Let's keep it moving, Color. We're gonna go on to the next subject here, and let me just let's talk about this one. This one's huge. Very big. I've been talking about this since not this offseason, but last offseason. I've been telling everybody that international football is coming, like it or not. We're going to actually eventually get an international team, right? At some point. And this is more evidence on why it should and will happen. Yesterday, the Chiefs and Dolphins in Germany game went on sale for tickets. Over 1.4 million people were in queue to get tickets, and it sold out in 15 minutes, Color.
Wow, that's almost like a David Hasselhoff concert in Germany, man. Jeez.
Yeah. And I actually, just to correct myself in a Twitter space, we were trying to figure out what arena that this is being played in Germany. And I come to find out the one I thought it was is different. It's actually Allianz Arena. I think that's how you say that. And they basically sold it out. It's 69,000.
I'm pretty sure that's Alliance Arena, just spelled in a German way. It's Alliance.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to pronounce it. Alliance, I think is how they say
it. Is it spelled like Alliance with a Z instead of a CE?
It has a Z. It's Allianz. Allianz.
Yeah, so that'd probably be the German word for the English word alliance. Like, it's not actually the word for alliance, but it's like a brand name, German conversion of a brand name, alliance, because that Z is pronounced like a CE, alliance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely understand. But yeah, they had about 70,000 people. They sold out in 15 minutes, and they had over 1.4 million people in queue. So it's ridiculous. Actually, it wasn't.
Well, yes, I do. Nah 420. By the way, shout out to Nah 420.
Yeah, actually,
he knows why he's getting a special shout out.
Actually, I take that back. I was right, Color, because this article was. Oh, okay. I see my mistake. Let me make some corrections, people, so I make sure I get it right. So what they were referring to is that the last year's Germany game pulled in about 69,811 fans at Allianz Arena. This is being played what is known as Frankfurt Stadium, and they have it's only about 48,000 seat stadium. There's about 10,000 seats that are available, but they're not seats. It's a standing area. So I wonder if they're going to fill that standing area as well. Because then at that point, they'll have the full capacity, which is about 50.
Well, they always do at Hard Rock.
Yeah. But the fact that it sold out in 15 minutes and they had over 1.4 million in queue, you can see the demand of tickets internationally for the football game. Do you understand? And this isn't just Germany. In England, they sell out those stadiums. Those stadiums are packed filled. If you ever go to a game in England, if you ever go, it's really unique. They're not like a fan of just one team. You see everybody coming with all their NFL gear, all different teams.
You want to hear a little bit of irony?
Go ahead.
So one of the stadiums they play in England is called Tottenham Stadium. You know, Tottenham.
Yeah, they're my favorite soccer team's rival. Keep going.
Yeah, Tottenham is not the way. That's not the actual pronunciation. The word is a German word, and it's pronounced Tottenham, which means Toten like that. It's spelled a little different because obviously it's got an English spelling now, you know. But that means basically dead. Like when you're tote like that, you're dead. That's dead. That's what it means. Tottenham, dead ham, like dead town. You know what I mean?
Yep. This is really interesting. This is something I didn't know, Color, that I just read. So Germany has long been a hub for American football, hosting 5 NFL expedition games in the 1990s. Coincidentally, Kansas City played the first NFL expedition game in Berlin in August of 1990, shortly before Germany reunified. Did you know that?
Well, no, I didn't.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. So the fact that they get to play there again, that's pretty dope.
I feel somehow I'm imagining the Scorpions playing in the background, dude. I don't know, it's just me.
That's funny. Yeah, but I understand what you're talking about Tottenham. They, like, my favorite soccer teams are previous coach. If people don't know, I'm a big Chelsea fan, right? And Chelsea's coach previously, he's a German coach. And his favorite team growing up was Tottenham. So I can see the German connection there.
Yeah, exactly. He picked the one that's got the German name. He's like, oh, that's my team.
Yeah, so that's pretty dope. I thought that was big news for the Dolphins. I've been saying this for a while. The international community has a love for American football, and they have a demand for it. There's been stats that have been collected that kind of estimated the amount of NFL fans in different countries, and Europe is loaded across the board all over, from England to Germany, all over. They have a big, liking to American football. Surprisingly, the third highest amount of fans outside of the NFL, outside of the USA, I should say, is Brazil. That's going to be interesting too. If we ever host a game there, that would be pretty dope, because they have about 22.5 million NFL fans. So
ironically, those numbers that you just pointed out kind of actually shadow our numbers at the Finn's Tailgate. It's kind of interesting. Like, we see the same trend. If we were to, rank the international cities that we get viewership from, it would fall right along those same percentages, interestingly enough.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I can't wait to see.
Capitan tells me all the time how big a viewership we have from Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but two drafts ago, the pick was announced by a soccer player in Brazil. I don't know if you know that. So that is I'm gonna go. This is a hot take for some people, but at some point in the next I'm gonna go next 5 years is what I think. There might be a game played in Brazil, a Miami Dolphins game. So that might happen. The easiness of doing like games internationally, just so you're aware, they have stadiums everywhere. They have massive stadiums everywhere. So it's not like they have to like invest a lot of money for a stadium to be built to be played, play the game. They already have them all over the place. Specifically in Brazil, there's a lot of empty stadiums. So if they're looking for maybe an international expansion team, that might be a country to put one in. They have tons of stadiums that are just sitting empty from their free.
So do you have a prediction as to what the very first international NFL team is going to be? Like what town, what city? I got one, by the way. But I want to hear yours first.
I think I've heard yours a few times.
Well, it's different.
I'm gonna say the first team. It might be closer than you think, and I'm gonna go with Toronto. And the reason being is because Toronto is loaded with football fans. We get a lot of NFL fans, obviously, here in Miami from Canada. We know, quite a few of them. But in Toronto, there's a lot of Buffalo fans specifically.
Yeah, and I think you're onto something there, because a lot of the other leagues that have gone international, like Major League Baseball, that's the kind of where they get from, is the Canadians. But I see I would see a Mexican team or a Canadian team or both as being the first, because logistically speaking, they can work out quicker, to get on board. You know what I mean? As far as like shifting the divisions and logistics involved and travel and all that. But my real prediction, and this is way, way out of nowhere, so if it happens, I'm going to get seer status on this. Okay. The very first international NFL team will be in none other in the town of Djibouti, which happens to be the capital city of Djibouti.
What the hell is Djibouti? Where the hell is that?
Look it up. It's a town. It's a nation of Djibouti, and its capital city is Djibouti.
Where?
Somewhere over near Africa, Middle East area, somewhere like that.
How do you spell it?
DJIBOUTI, I think. Djibouti. The D is silent.
East Africa, just so you're aware of that.
Yeah, the D is silent. It's Djibouti.
Djibouti, officially, the Republic of Djibouti is a country in the Horn of Africa.
Right.
Bordered by Somalia to the south, Ethiopia to the
So it's
southwest.
over there, right? It's over there in that little wedge that sticks out where Mogadishu is and all that.
Interesting.
Yeah, but look at what the capital city is.
Djibouti.
I told you.
They're so funny.
It's
They're
a
funny.
long-running joke, man. For some people, not everybody's heard it, you know. But
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. One thing I will tell you about the international game, and because it's starting to become
delusional. He says Ali. It's right next to Jatain.
Okay. All right. Keep it moving, color. So one thing I've had a lot of conversations recently about the international game and what that would look like if we were to expand teams and what we would have to do. And someone said that if you add one team internationally, you have to add another because there has to be a balance to the playoff system as well as both sides. Sure. And how many divisions there are. Are you going to have some divisions that have more than just 4 teams? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Then we discussed, could the NFL convert its system to something similar to the NHL, where they have really just bigger divisions, and it's like almost like conferences, like a whole conference kind of. That could work too, but the issue with that is it takes away from the rivalries and the big, historical factor of like everybody in the AFC East and
right.
Example. So where they add one, they have to add another. So in my opinion, if you're going to add international teams, the two that makes most sense logistically is going to be Canada and Mexico, obviously. So you would add both of those right off the bat. Then if you're going to expand, Brazil, England, Germany could be brought into the fold. I wouldn't even be surprised if some of our Asian countries as well actually join the fray as well. I mean, I could see that happening.
Easily Japan. Japan's another one that's got a large NFL viewership. China,
they love
obviously.
Sports in general. I mean, they have huge baseball, basketball, viewership. It surprised me what sports they get into. So,
I could also. I can see a situation where like they could easily add a whole division of 4 teams if they stick at first to Pan America, like call it a Pan American division where you've got Mexico, Canada, and Brazil, and who would be the 4th team? Some other major Central American or South American country. You know what I mean? Or a second team in Canada, like East Coast and West Coast. You know what I mean? Because there are cultural differences in Canada between the guys on the East Coast and the ones on the West. Subtle differences, but enough to where just like us, we have, New York and San Francisco, you know what I mean, or Los Angeles. So, I can see 2 teams in Canada to start off, a team in Mexico, a team in Brazil, and you've got a whole division right there already wrapped up, and the logistics involved are not too crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I understand what you're saying about creating the next division, but the problem is that messes up with the playoffs. So you kind of have to make it balanced. That's why I think what would happen, instead of having a separate division to start off, these teams, as they add them, would be added to both sides, the AFC and NFC divisions. You know what I mean?
But how do you avoid the imbalance in divisions? Like you'll have some divisions with 5 teams. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's say if you only add 2 teams to start off, you're going to have a couple divisions with 5 teams, and only those divisions.
That was true.
That was the thought I had. So you'd have to start off adding a whole division, basically, like adding 4 teams and working it out on the math with the playoffs. At that point, it'll be crazy. Still, yeah, it'll still either way you do, you're putting the complication at a different spot. You know what I mean? Whether it's having teams with 5 teams in a division, or whether it's the jumble mess of the playoffs and how to work all that out. You would just add another wild card round or something like that, or add another bye.
Yeah, I kind of think that's probably what would actually end up happening. Is that they would probably either have an extra wild card spot or or another buy. That would work too. You're right, Color. That actually would work. So
Or
I
they
think.
could end up doing it sort of like not separate leagues, but
Mhm.
in the in the style of a separate league. So in other words, yeah, they are part of the NFL and they are just a separate division or even a third conference, an international conference. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But you could start it off like we keep everything the same with us. They do their own little 4-game division. They do play teams, all over the NFL throughout the season. But when it comes to like the postseason, they have their own thing, determine who their champion is, and that champion gets to be the extra wild card in our playoffs. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I could see
Definitely.
something like that to start off until you've got enough teams to really work it out, fairly and fully incorporate them into the league. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Sort of like how it was with the AFL and NFL. They never really played each other until the Super Bowl. But in this
Yeah.
case, you would have to fill their schedule with other teams. So they would play international, schedule. But when it comes to the playoffs, maybe you isolate them, find out who their main division winner is. And so, in other words, they'll always be, the division winner of that division can only be a wild card.
Yep. I definitely hear that.
Till they
Um,
earn their way in more. Like years later when we got more teams to jumble it up better, then yeah, it'll be no different than anybody else. They can get a top seed, they could get a bye, in the playoffs like anybody else.
mhm. Yeah, that's definitely true. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the Miami Dolphins and specifically how they sold out in 15 minutes the Kansas City Dolphins game this year in Germany. Over 1.4 million were in queue. It's an amazing feat that they just accomplished there, and the amount of demand for that game. It's arguably going to be game of the year aspects when you have that many people trying to get into that game. You understand?
Yep.
So that
That is
that
the effect of having the Super Bowl champions come to your town.
yeah, not just the Super Bowl champions, but you have arguably the one team that everybody is saying that could compete with them too. That's how big of a
hmm
game it's going to
hmm
be.
You
Um,
also got
so-
the existing following in Germany for the Miami Dolphins. Couple that with the fact that Kansas City is kind of like on the way out to Kansas City and Missouri is all German country.
oh yeah,
Settled originally by the Germans and still, long existing German culture there. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of their real home team, you know.
yeah, definitely. I see a lot more people have joined the chat colors, so shout out to everybody. I see V21 up in here, Crazy Dolphin up in here. What's up?
Dolphin Don, yep.
BMGD, what's up, man? Nah, 420, how you doing? Morning. Let's see who else we got. I just want to make sure I hit everybody. I see Michael K up in here, which I already mentioned. JR Black, how's it going? NFL's lit, the Charger fan. What's up, buddy? Wal- Walrus Johnson, how's it going?
By the way, credit to the Chargers. This guy NFL Lit has been a great model example of his fan base over the last year or two. I just want to say the Chargers got some decent fans based on what my experience with the one we have.
Well, that's true. They definitely have some good fans. So shout out to everybody in the chat. If please hit like and subscribe, we really appreciate it. Let's keep it moving, color. So the next thing we're gonna go over is an article about Omar Kelly, and not about him, but something that he had wrote about our offensive line. And then we're also gonna do on the later half. I have a little game we're gonna play along with an article that I'm gonna read too. So let's keep it moving so we can get through it. Okay. So Omar Kelly put out an article. Will the Dolphins O-line sideswipe the 2023 season? 3 veterans added this offseason by the Dolphins added 139 starts to Miami's troublesome offensive line. The Miami Dolphins offensive line has been the unit that has held this franchise down like an anchor fixed to the bottom of the ocean for more than a decade. No matter who the offensive coordinator has been or who is behind center at quarterback, the offensive line shortcomings, injuries, paper thin depth, or overall dysfunction, remember Bullygate is what he's talking about, has kept South Florida's NFL franchise from maximizing its potential. Without adequate protection, the quarterback chances of getting injured are high. You saw that last season. Without efficient run blocking, the run game will be stagnant. We saw that at times last season. And without solid pass blocking, the play calling will be limited, and the success rate of big plays could be stifled. Luckily, Miami found a way around that last season. The question was need to ask ourselves heading into 2023 season is whether the moves Miami decision makers made this offseason patched up the Dolphins' O-line enough to have the unit serve as a facilitator and not a hindrance to the team's success. The answer we seek can be found by addressing a series of questions. Will a coaching change improve the unit? It certainly can't hurt, according to Omar. Matt Applebaum, who the Dolphins hired from Boston College, seemingly was over his head last season, which forced Frank Smith, the offensive coordinator, to do plenty of babysitting with that unit. That's interesting. Applebaum returned to Boston College after one season, and Miami replaced him with Butch Barry, who has less than stellar reputation based on the work he did at the University of Miami for one season, and his disastrous tenure at the Denver Broncos offensive line last year. The fact that Barry served as an understudy for 49ers offensive line coach Chris Forrester, the man who taught Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel the intricacies of the wide zone run game, is beneficial. Even though Forrester was dismissed from the Dolphins in 2017 for his escapades with an escort, which included, I'm going to say, snorting a white powdery substance, allegedly. Well, I don't know. I have to say because they had photos of it, I guess. I don't know. Where did I lose my spot here? In the team's facility, he's respected as one of the NFL's best O-line coaches, and the hope is that Barry is an extension of himself. That is really interesting. So after his escapade here, what happened? He goes on to the 49ers and has been very successful. So that's crazy. I was like, why couldn't you do that here? You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Color?
Something to do with Miami, I'd imagine.
I don't know, Color. It kind of throws me off. I'm like, man, why couldn't you just be successful here? It's ridiculous. The biggest concern is whether Miami's players can endure and adapt to his coaching style. That's the biggest question mark regarding Butch Barry. Now, who are the biggest offseason additions? You have Isaiah Wynn, Dan Feeney, and again, Cedric Ogbowehi, I guess that's how you say that, are the veterans added through free agency. These three collectively bring 139 games of starting experience to the offensive line, and that's important because gaining experience rarely hurts. When Feeney and Ogbowehi might have their individual blemishes, which turned them into NFL journeymen, but each should be capable of stepping up and filling in as a starter if called up. That's something that the Dolphins didn't have last year at this stage of the offseason, which explains why Miami had to sign a journeyman like Brandon Shell and turn him into the starting right tackle for most of the season after Austin Jackson was sidelined by an ankle injury. Ryan Hayes, the former Michigan starter who Miami selected in the 7th round, is the only newcomer worth mentioning, and he might be best suited as an offensive guard in the NFL. Who is the foundational piece of the Dolphins' offensive line? This is an important question because 3 offensive linemen projected as starter in 2023, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, and Jackson, are impending free agents. That's the entire right side of the offensive line, and it would be irresponsible not to mention that left guard is a mystery because of Liam Eichenberg's struggles the past 2 years as a starter. Teron Armstead, who was voted to his 4th Pro Bowl last season, is the unit's top performer and elite lineman when healthy, but the 31-year-old has battled injuries the past few seasons and hasn't played an entire season in his entire 10-year career. Is Armstead the player this offseason line should be built around? How much longer can he perform as an elite level is the question. The answer to those questions might force the Dolphins to get a multi-year done with Connor Williams or Hunt before 2023 season begins, because one has to be viewed as a building block. If not, we're starting all over in 2024 with the offensive line. He is kind of right there. I definitely see his point. If you don't make one of those guys a building block, we're going to be starting all over again. That's the reality of it. So where are the weak links? Anyone with eyes can see left guard and right tackle are the most troublesome spots on the Miami Dolphins O-line. We've been saying that since last year. The rebirth of the O-line began with Jackson, the 2020 first-round pick. While Jackson has struggled as a starter for the majority of the NFL career, that hasn't been the case for the former USC standout at right tackle. He missed all but 2 games at right tackle last season because of an ankle injury he tried and failed to come back from. Jackson is in the best shape of his career because he's a pivotal play-for-pay season. A solid performance in 2023 will elevate his asking price for a new deal. A season full of struggles will get him labeled as a burnout and have him designated as a journeyman. That's about a $6 million annual salary difference, and that's a conservative estimate. Coincidentally, what happened to Ogwehi was Jackson's primary competition for the starting right tackle spot. There are also a handful of offensive tackles, players like Kendall Lamb, Jerron Christian, the Dolphins preferred to resign instead of retaining Shell, who ended up signing with Buffalo Bills. As for Eichenberg, like Jackson, he'll need to be solid to keep his starting spot past the first month of the season. So that's pretty interesting. So the question is, can Miami withstand injuries this season? Well, injuries are typically what waters down the effectiveness of an offensive line because a unit is only as strong as its weakest link. Wynn is left side backup. His experience allows him to serve as Armstead's backup in case something happens to Miami's Pro Bowl left tackle. He'll also be Eichenberg's main competition for the starting left tackle spot. Having him challenge Eichenberg, the Dolphins' 2021 second round pick, will ensure that Miami is putting its best foot forward at an important spot because the left guard's success pulling and turning defenders is critical to the run game success. Williams is Miami's starting center, and hope is that his game turns up a few decibels now that he's in his second year in the offense, utilizing a wide zone run scheme. He should have a better mastery of the scheme and concepts and enhanced chemistry with his line mates. I agree with that, Color. I do think that Connor Williams, having his second year now going into it, he should know the offense a lot better. We're going to see more of a mastery and more of a complete center, and then the outlook of what we think of Connor Williams. I think we're going to see the complete product, if you know what I mean. Wouldn't you agree with that, or would you disagree?
No, I agree. I also don't think, I'm not so sure that we should be ready to throw out the possibility of an improvement from Austin Jackson either. You've got continued building of continuity with the group. You've got, enough guys, enough leadership, to help catch him up. You've got his second year in what people keep claiming is a more stable environment on offense with our new coach and all that. I mean, we did see some improvement across the line towards the end of the season last year. And so it's not out of the realm of possibility that Austin Jackson becomes a solid permanent member of the offensive line, albeit maybe our weakest link in the long run. But, that doesn't mean it can't work still.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. I do think that, a lot of these guys should be better because they've been in the system longer. I definitely agree with that. Um, Austin Jackson has come into camp from what I've been told, and I've seen pictures looking shredded, looking in the best shape of his life, right?
hmm
Whereas the last 2 seasons, he's come in either injured or coming off injury, or his freshman year or freshman season. His rookie season, he came in, I believe, after a bone marrow transplant or something he provided for
hmm
his sister. So there's a lot that goes into that and recovery and all that. He never really got to have a 100% healthy fresh start. You know what I mean? And this is the best he's going to look. So now he has to show all that technique he's learned, all that experience, and use all of being healthy to prove what he's got. And this is the year to do it if he wants to get paid. So I
Exactly.
definitely,
I mean, why wouldn't the
yeah.
same thing apply that applies to the quarterback? I mean, you got if McDaniel can get more out of that position, he can get more out of any position. Again, it's the same situation. You
Yeah,
know,
I
we saw
agree.
marked improvement out of Tua. We saw marked improvement out of Austin Jackson. We're
Hmm.
seeing good training in the offseason.
Hmm.
We're putting our faith in Mike McDaniel anyway. I don't understand why it's like, the the same thing can't be true.
Yeah, absolutely. We also brought in guys like Freeney, who will serve as a backup, but Miami spent the offseason training Eichenberg to play center, and his development there was somewhat encouraging from what they're saying.
hmm
So I guess my concern of not having a backup center, I guess, is being pushed to the side a little bit. Will Eichenberg be a good center? That's a good question. Not saying that he's going to take over Connor Williams, but will he be a formidable backup? Is my question. Dan Feeney has experience as a backup center as well as at left guard, so he's a guy that I think is going to be on this roster for sure. But as your journeyman, kind of like, and I hate to say his name because I know some people are superstitious, but kind of like a Jesse Davis kind of guy where he could play multiple positions on the offensive line. That's how I see them using Dan Feeney, to be honest. The article goes on to say Hunt will begin his third season at the starting right guard. He has the talent and skill set to play right tackle, but the Dolphins have refused to work him there except for one emergency start last season, fearing it would stunt his development. I can see that. It's pretty clear something significant would need to happen for Miami's decision makers to reverse course on anchoring Hunt at right guard. This is a pay-for-play situation for Hunt as well, so expect him to have his best NFL season in 2023. Robert Jones, who the Dolphins have spent the past 2 seasons developing, will compete for a backup guard on both left and right side. Jones will need to play and practice well to extend his South Florida stay past training camp because Miami has upgraded this unit's depth, which could put him on the roster bubble if he doesn't come to play in great shape and if he's not forceful in practice. Between Wynn, Feeney, and Jones, the Dolphins have a solid trio of backups on the offensive line, so there are a couple break-in case of emergency options, which wasn't the case at this point last year. So that's actually a really good point. Throughout the offseason, I was slamming the table for a left guard or a right tackle or an upgraded, offensive lineman and stuff. And even after signing Feeney and Wynn and Ogbuehi, I kind of had concerns, about our offensive line. But when you break it down like Omar has here, on the experience that they bring and what we were kind of missing on our offensive line a lot last season, it's not too half bad, Color. I'm going to admit that. It's not bad. You have 3 guys that can very well be formidable backups to any of these offensive line positions that we're concerned about. The only real question mark is still the right tackle position. That's the only true question mark for me. I honestly think Wynn's going to have the left guard position, but how do you feel about it?
I mean, I'm in total agreement with you. Again, you'd have to be blind or have a different agenda if you don't see that the improvement that we showed on our offensive line last year. Mm-hmm. I think we built a situation where no one guy, no one person, no one player's failure is going to jeopardize the whole line at this point. Might jeopardize it on one play, but it's boom, fix the problem. You know what I mean? Like, we're building up something that can actually be sustainable. And even if guys do get injured or, you know, tired, or let's say they're not the type of guy that can keep up their consistent play for the whole game, which is, I suspect, is a lot of the problem with, you know, these guys that aren't elite linemen. Like it was saying earlier, you know, a couple of the guys, yeah, they're great, but they're in journeyman status for a reason. They all have blemishes, and I suspect that blemish is, look, you're really great, but you get tired, or you can't keep it up a whole game, or, you know, stuff like that. So these are perfect guys to slide in key situations when somebody's tired or injured or needs a breather or whatever, and boom, you stick this guy in that's fresh, and when he's fresh is actually a good above average player, and you just don't expect to keep him in very long. You know what I mean? And I think we've got a few guys like that that's going to keep us afloat on the line this year.
Yeah, 100%. I honestly think we have quite a few guys. I feel a little bit more comfortable on, you know, what we're looking at to play with here. You know, last year at times that we were just holding our breath that Teron Armstead wouldn't be out for a game. You know what I mean? And that's at some point there was even people that I was speaking with that were betting on, oh, if Teron Armstead plays, we have a good chance of winning. If he doesn't play, it's an automatic loss, which I think is wrong. You shouldn't do that, you know, in the first place. But that's kind of like how we felt about it. But now going into this season with the backups and the depth that we've created, I'm kind of like, all right, I could see how in certain situations we might give Teron Armstead a break on a game, and I will feel okay with some of these players playing the role. You know what I mean? I am okay because I know there's going to be a backup at left guard. There's going to be a backup at right tackle that can fill the position. There's no question mark what the hell we're going to do. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think this is definitely good. I wasn't a big fan of it at first, but after reading the breakdown in the article, I thought it was informative to understand what exactly we brought in and what we did and what we have to play with. And the way Omar broke it down for me, kind of opened my eyes that, yeah, this offensive line, it's not bad. It's not the guys that we all wanted, you know what I mean? But it's definitely better than what we had last year, and we've have depth, and that's the key.
And look, I'm going to be honest, the alternative is trading Waddle and purchasing an elite offensive line. I mean, nobody wanted to hear that. So, you know, you got to do what you got to do with what you have to work with.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Color. Nobody wants to do that. We all want Waddle to be, you know, lifetime Dolphin, to be honest. But at some point, you can't pay everybody, and you got to do something. You got to play, you know, move something or pay to play kind of thing. You know what I mean? You have to do something. So, all right, make sure you hit like and subscribe. And while we're at it, I just want to play. I'm gonna play this commercial real quick, and then we'll get started on the last piece, Color. I have a good game for us to play, an article to read about it. But while you guys are hanging out, check out TFTGnetwork.com for me.
Get ready to dive into a new world of online shopping with the Finn's Tailgate. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or just looking for the latest fashion trends, we've got you covered. With a wide variety of products from your favorite sports teams to stylish accessories and home decor, we're your one-stop shop for all things tailgate. Our easy-to-use website and hassle-free checkout process make shopping with us a breeze. Plus, with frequent sales and discounts, you won't want to shop anywhere else. So come on in and join the party at the Finn's Tailgate, your new go-to destination for all things tailgate.
Yes, definitely check out the Finn's Tailgate, the TFTGnetwork.com. It's a one-stop shop for Finn's Tailgate everything. It has our Twitter feeds, all of our playlists for our shows and everything. There's articles that you're going to start seeing on there. I already have some from my older stuff that I wrote, but I'm going to be putting out a lot newer stuff soon. There's our merch store is filled with something for everybody, from yourself to your wives, kids. There's home goods. There's coasters, playing card, t-shirts, hats, magnets, all different types of stuff. Color
Aprons.
Yeah, the apron. If you haven't seen the apron now, check out the apron for Cooking Folk. Brought to you by Lewis, bro. So definitely check that out. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I think I saw Shake Money earlier. So shout out to him. And anybody else that I haven't seen yet. I see Scotty up in here.
Yep,
What's going
Scotty.
on?
Good morning, Scotty. And real quick, I just want to do a follow up on our last discussion real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty has a great question. What guarantees trading Waddle would get an elite offensive line? Just the bag that I would expect we'd get for Waddle. I'm not saying anything would guarantee that, but I'm just speaking flippantly that Waddle is worth enough that we would have got enough assets to be able to mend our problems on offensive line. I'm not saying that would have been the right move to do. I'm just saying that we can't have it both ways. And Waddle was just a placeholder. I could have picked other guys too that would have got us the bag. You know what I mean? But just to throw a name out there, you trade Waddle, you get enough in return that we could have, in my estimation, we could have purchased an above average offensive line. But we didn't do that, and nobody wants to do that, so we've got to do it this way. And I think Greer is doing the best he can with trying to play all sides of the fence, the money, the fans' wishes, all that kind of stuff. And this is where we're at. We are really helping build our team as fans. I mean, they're listening to us, all of us.
Yeah, I mean, that's a reality. Listen. All right, I understand that trading, even now trading him would give us quite a bit, I think, in return regarding draft capital that we can use for trades, let alone, not just, for draft capital, but maybe a player or two as well. But on hindsight of it, Jalen Waddle is becoming a superstar right in front of our eyes. He's a star now, don't get me wrong, but I think he's going to be considered one of the elite stars of our future. And the reason I say that is you look at the work he has put in from year 1 to year 2. Now we're going into year 3, Color. Mm-hmm. This guy looks like a machine. He puts out these videos of him working out. He looks like he's faster, bigger, stronger. You know what I mean? The guy, if he works on his hands during this offseason, and when I say that is, if you look at most of his catches, a lot of his catches are more with the body. I want to see a little bit better catching with the hands. He fixes that. If he check marks that this season, there's no question about it. In my book, he's a top 5 receiver guaranteed. In this
Agreed. He's a top 10 without fixing that problem.
Exactly. He's already a top 10 without it. He'll be top 5 for sure.
And in my opinion, is the most efficient wide receiver in the entire NFL.
Yeah. So, you think that's basically where I'm at with Jalen Waddle.
Well, that's why I think we would have gotten enough to build our offensive line for him.
Oh yeah.
Again, I don't hate him. I don't want that to happen. I'm just saying that, you can't. I'm just having the discussion as to what would have been the easiest path to fix our problems on offensive line. Something like that would have been the easiest path. Much like the Raiders, much like Gruden did with Khalil Mack. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I want to clarify something for the chat because there was a question, why don't you like Waddle, Color? Well, listen, I'm going to answer for Color first, and then he can speak on his own. Color does not dislike Waddle at all. He just is a very passionate person when it comes to the receiving core, specifically on the art of catching the ball with your hands. That's where Color holds very high standards in regard to catching. And the only issue with Jalen Waddle's game last season was at times he had a little bit of a problem catching with his hands. He has already stated multiple times that if he fixes that, and as he just admitted, he will be a top 5 receiver in this league, guaranteed. And he's already a top 10 receiver.
Exactly.
Tyler wants us to keep Waddle. In fact, when Tyreek's money falls off, that's when Waddle has to get paid, and he'll be paid the Tyreek money. That's legit. That's what's going to happen. So he wants us to keep him, but you have to always think what is best for the team. Holding on to a player you love that obviously is definitely a big-time weapon, but if you already have other weapons on this team, what's hurting your team from moving forward? If it's the offensive line, you may have to do what you have to do to address those concerns. That's where we're at.
Right, and the move I'm talking about would have been done this offseason. Like the blockbuster move. So in other words, we're all saying we're on a Super Bowl run right now, yet we say we have the trashiest offensive line in the league. Well, how are we on a Super Bowl run if everybody knows that our offensive line is garbage? Well, if we are on a Super Bowl run, we've got Tyreek Hill. We don't really need Waddle when it comes to solidifying the offensive line and being a real Super Bowl contender. That doesn't mean that, like in the situation we're in where we chose to do it this way and we've got, let's say, what could amount to be an average offensive line, Waddle actually, it's one or the other. It's like, does Waddle's efficiency and his production overcome our issues like that? Well, probably. So it could have been done either way.
Yeah. Here's the other thing. You look at the Super Bowl team, specifically, we'll talk about the Eagles here. The Eagles last season made Super Bowl moves right before our eyes. They brought in the players of need and depth, and they didn't care who it was. Even if they've already didn't have a need for it, they went and added more depth for it. They went and got themselves the best offensive line in NFL today. And they also went and got themselves the best defensive line in the NFL today. That's what they did last season, right? Those guys were, it was a sacking machine, that defense. Up until that Super Bowl game, they had a very strong defensive line, and they would have controlled the trenches. But Kansas City just they got outcoached, and they had a better game plan, to be honest. What did they do this offseason? They doubled up on the defensive line. Yeah, they lost a few people or let them go in free agency, but they revamped that defensive line again. That, in all honesty, if you look at the talent, they should be just as forceful as they were last season. And that's where I think Super Bowl teams actually win. They win in the trenches, let it be on the offense or defensive side of the ball.
Right. If you don't mind me answering this question real quick, Ali.
Go for it.
Scotty also asks, at this point right now, what do you believe? Is our offensive line right now worse, better, or the same as last year? That's an excellent question, because this is the reason that I'm okay with not making the Waddle move, because I'm not Chicken Little on our offensive line. To answer your question, I would say we're about the same at this point without playing a game so far in 2023. We're at the same point as we were last year. However, I'm speaking to how we ended last year. I think we saw, at least myself, I witnessed a marked improvement from game 1 last year to game 17. So we weren't the same at the end of the year last year as we were at the beginning, albeit we're the same now as we were last year, which is an improvement. You see what I'm saying? From the beginning of last year. So I look for further improvement this offseason. But even if we're the same, we're still improved from the beginning of last year to the end of last year. So we're still in a better position. If you talk about, are we the same as we started in the offseason last year? No, we're better. I believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's why I'm not like, oh my God, why didn't we trade Waddle? No, I'm not like that. I'm just saying that would, if you really wanted to make sure of everything on offensive line, a move would be to trade a big player that's, still got control on his contract to be able to, really cash in on another team and get those pieces. We didn't do that. I'm glad we didn't do it. I like Waddle. Again, come to find out, he is the most efficient wide receiver in the league. And if you look, his rookie year, he had a 75% catch rate. That dropped 10 points last year to 65. and he still was a top 10 receiver in production. And so I look for, when you look at the top 2 guys on the list, top 3 receivers in production, they all had their catch rate at about 70%. That's about a midway point between what Waddle's rookie year was and what last year was. So I look, just like improving on those crucial catches, okay, that should inherently bump that back up a good 5% to where he is settling into like the 69%, 70% range. And if he does that, given his efficiency, you're talking about like you're talking about something we've never seen before in the league at that in his type of wide receiver role. You know what I mean? Like that could be really, really huge. And so I'm definitely not off of Waddle. Don't mistake me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you think about it, we have wide receiver 1, but we don't have a wide receiver 2. We have wide receiver 1 and 1B. That's basically what we have.
And I'm lighting a fire under him by saying he's not a wide receiver 1. That's just subjective on my part. You know what I mean?
I hear you. The other thing, Mr. Polk asked earlier on, that do we think that he basically, with our current roster as it stands right now, he sees us only losing 1 or 2 games, or 2 or 3 games this season. That's very well true. I have us possibly being a 13-4 or 14-3 team this season, to be honest.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, right about where I was at this time last year. I can see 4 losses. And,
you can, if you look at the roster on paper and you look at the team and what we're capable of when executing, you can make an argument that we could win every single game this season, to be honest. Now, will that happen? I highly doubt it. I have us somewhere around the time we play Kansas City to have like 1 or 2 games right there to be lost. The other games, I want to say we might split with somebody else in the AFC East, but that's
right. And if I could speak for you a little bit, I think what you're really trying to say is there's nothing inferior on our team given execution. Like, I know execution is like, well, sure, if everybody executes, everybody could beat anybody. That's not actually true. You can be outclassed physically and athletically, and it don't matter. You can have 100% execution, and that better team can still overcome. Okay?
Hold it down for 2 minutes. Just hold it down for 2 minutes.
Sure. What I, myself, and I suspect Ali is trying to convey is that given almost perfect execution, there is no team in this league that we can't beat, that we're outmatched or anything like that. We execute, we beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all there is to it. I mean, I think, we've got problems here and there, no different than any other team has. So at this point, it's about execution. And if you're talking about this team executing to a near 100% rate, undefeated is definitely a possibility, just not a probability. Like the probability, it's not a probability that we execute 100%. If teams did that, then there would have been more undefeated teams over the years. But of course, you all know we are the only ones that accomplished that, because in 1972, we enjoyed near perfect execution. And that's really why we won all 17 games. The Patriots, and when they made their effort, near flawless execution every game, 17-1. I mean, they technically accomplished the same thing we did. They won 17 games in a row. That is technically the same accomplishment. But they didn't win that 17th on the biggest stage, so that's why we edged them out. They didn't complete the job, the perfect season. But they certainly accomplished what we did. They won 17 games in a row. So it is what it is. They're the only other team to go undefeated in the regular season. And that's because of near flawless execution. Randy Moss had something to do with it. But again, so does Tyreek and Waddle on our squad. You know? I mean, it is what it is. You know, and I'm not going to back down on that. Flawless execution, and we could beat every single team in this league. Stand them up, we'll knock them down. I mean, look at the matchups. Look at the you know, the fact that look, our only problem is we have too much yardage in relation to how much scoring we do. We fix that problem, we beat everybody. We cash in more, we increase our scoring to reflect the mega amounts of yardage that we get in the passing game. Couple that with the, you know, just over 1,000 yards in our running back room. We're just getting way too much yardage to not have the points to show for it. And that really is the crux of our issue. We get inside the 30-yard line, we find some way to shoot ourselves in the foot. We get inside the 15-yard line with one of the fastest wide receivers in the league, and we can't even run a jet sweep to have him take the pylon, which I saw him do repeatedly against our own defense in training camp. There is no beating Tyreek Hill to that pylon if you're on an offset hash mark. There is no beating him to the pylon.
That's true. Color.
You can go out. I'm sorry, Ali. You could go out, announce to the defense what you're doing, and you still won't beat Tyreek Hill to the pylon.
Definitely. So color, because of time restraints, because it's 8 o'clock right now, or 8:02, I should say.
Right.
I'm going to read this one article, and we're going to play this game. But after this game, we are going to end the show, okay? Because
sure thing, man. Sure thing.
my time, I can go to 8:30 is the longest I can go. So just so if you're joining us, make sure you hit like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. Currently, it's 8:02 a.m. and your current weather report here at the Tailgate, it's 83 degrees in Miami. Today's high of 89. It feels like 90 degrees with 77% humidity. Wow, the humidity went down a little bit, Color. Yeah, it's going to be a hot day today, so make sure you stay cool.
Sorry, you guys got to see this real quick. See all these other birds over here eating? I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, I kind of see in the distance.
Okay, well, that's Amun's territory they're eating on right now, right? Now look who's showing up. Look who's rolling up on them. See how he's all walking gingerly, like minding his own business? He's about to go regulate, bro. He's about to chase off every one of these birds, man.
That's funny. That's
look,
funny.
Here he goes. Here he goes. He's starting to speed up.
So if you guys didn't know, Color has some Egyptian geese outside his apartment. So he has named them, which is kind of funny. But yeah, shout out to Color. Anyway, let's keep it moving, Color. I want to get this article read because there's a game I want to play with you in the audience. So let me bring this up. So SB Nation, the Finsider, put out an article by James McKinney, who was the worst Miami Dolphins head coach. The Miami Dolphins began as a franchise under head coach George Wilson. Wilson, despite having won a championship as a head coach in the NFL, was not as lucky in Miami. Wilson ended his time with the Fins winning only 15 games to 39 losses. After just 4 seasons, the team moved on and found the definition of stability in head coach Don Shula. Shula not only helmed the ship for 26 straight years, but also took the team to all 5 of their Super Bowls, winning 2. Since that time, the team has rolled through a long list of head coaches. After 30 years of existence and only 2 head coaches, the team went through 11 coaches, including interim head coaches, in the following 26 seasons. Some of the 11 head coaches were more successful than others. Some were just so clearly in over their head and had no business being given the keys to the club. But which was the worst of the group? Below is the list of head coaches, which I'm going to read off to you, Color, between Don Shula and the current head coach, Mike McDaniel. So we're going to play a little game. I'm going to go over the list with you, caller and audience. We're going to play keep, trade, or fire. That's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to name a coach. You're going to tell me if you're going to keep him or you're going to trade him. If you're going to trade him, I want you to tell me, caller, who you're going to trade him for, or if you're just going to flat out fire him.
Okay.
All right. We'll start off first, and this is right after Don Shula's reign. Jimmy Johnson. Will you
Trade.
keep him? Trade. Okay. Color says trade. Put in the chat if you are going to trade, keep, or fire Jimmy Johnson. Okay. Who are you going to trade him for, Color?
The Buffalo Bills. Oh, who am I going to trade him for?
Yeah, like what coach?
Oh, what coach? Dick Vermeil.
Whoa. Hold on. Before we say that, you said you're going to trade Jimmy Johnson for the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, so he could ruin their quarterback.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. All right. I'm sorry. I was like, what? All right. Go ahead. Who are you trading for?
I'm trading for Dick Vermeil.
Dick Vermeil. Interesting. Dick Vermeil was a coach in the California area, right? San Francisco, maybe?
He ended up coaching the first incarnation of the greatest show on turf to their Super Bowl. And it was right around the time Jimmy Johnson was with us. So that's actually a valid trade right there.
Okay. Chat.
Dick Vermeil built the greatest show on turf before Mike Marks took it over and won it all.
I gotcha. So in chat, put if you agree, if you're going to trade him, and who would you trade him for? Put that in chat. All right. Let's keep it going. Who's the next person on the list?
And by the way, it pains me to say that about Jimmy because I'm a Hurricanes fan and he's the greatest coach we've ever had there. So, pains me to say that about Jimmy, but he's an NFL quarterback destroyer.
Dick Vermeil, he was the coach in the Eagles. Am I right? For a bit.
At one time, I believe that was his first run. I believe.
Yeah, because I think he was a head coach for a college team at the time, and he went to the Eagles as a head coach.
Yep.
I think that's right. Okay, I was trying to remember who he coached for, so that's why I was asking. Some people said they'd trade him for Marty Schottenheimer. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
That's not a bad one, except that was it the Jimmy Johnson team that beat them when they had Joe Montana in the playoffs, or did we still have Shula here when that happened?
That's a good point. I want to say Schottenheimer beat us. Didn't he?
No, we beat the Chiefs when they had Joe Montana in Joe Montana's last run. We beat them in the playoffs in Hard Rock.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that
and I think Schottenheimer was their coach.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think that's who it was. You're right. All right, let's go on to the next person, Color. The next person on the list, Dave Wanstead. Again, you can either keep him, trade him, or fire him.
Well, if I traded Jimmy, I'm going to have to trade Dave. He's too good to fire. Unless you go 15 seasons in the playoffs and never get to the Super Bowl. He is that type of guy, like what's his name from Cincinnati?
Wasn't Wanstead the coach that took us to the playoffs, like the last time we made it more dominantly?
Yeah, we pretty much had like 10-6 record every single season with him, but it was never going to be more and never going to be less. You know what I mean? That's why we ended up moving on from him.
I gotcha. So you're going to trade him?
Yeah, I would trade him.
Okay, who would you trade him for?
Brian Flores. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man.
He was already one of our... He's going to be on the list, so I can't pick him.
Yeah. Go pick somebody from that era that was coaching at that time.
So we were talking. I'm sorry, I've just lost my train of thought. We were talking. Dave Wanstead.
Yeah.
I would trade for at that time.
I can tell you a name that hits a
Dan Reeves. Dan Reeves.
Dan Reeves. Okay, I have a name that hits a bell because it was just about a year or two after he was fired, I believe, or moved off of, that he really made his stake for greatest all-time head coach. Not that he is the greatest all-time head coach in my opinion, but he has he definitely has an argument to be made. Bill Belichick is who I'd trade him for. At that time.
Right.
During that time. Not now. I'm talking about like during that time I would.
Right. Maybe Joe Gibbs. I might go with Joe Gibbs from that time.
Joe Gibbs was well, didn't he end up becoming a NASCAR owner or something like that?
Yeah, he is a NASCAR owner. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, see, I know. Interesting. The next one, this guy, I don't even remember. That's how long ago it was. And let alone, I don't think he was here very long. Jim Bates. Keep, trade, or fire?
Well, he ended up becoming a decent DC somewhere, didn't he?
That's true. I think so. Let me actually look that up. But I didn't remember him. Must have been a very short period we had him. Let me see here. He ended up becoming Green Bay's defensive coordinator in 2005. Then 2007, he was Denver coordinator, and then Tampa in 2009.
See, I would have to say keep then.
Yeah, he was the interim head coach, just so you're aware. He was our defensive coordinator for a good minute before he became the intern head coach. So
right.
You're going to go keep him because he was decent and consistent.
Yeah, he's built good defense. That's what I remember him for now that I've mentioned it. I mean, you're talking the Tampa defense. You're talking about the Denver defense. Sounds like the time period that Elway got his 2 rings is what it sounds like. Possibly when Manning was there. I'm not sure. But either case, they had a stellar defense.
That's
and you're
true.
talking about what was the other team he went to? You said
Tampa.
The first one. No, the first team you said.
Oh, outside of Miami, he went to Green Bay.
Green Bay. They had a stout defense. That I think that might be the one Super Bowl that Aaron Rodgers got.
Yeah, I think
he might have been their
right.
DC.
With that being said, it was kind of interesting. He went 3-4 as the interim Miami Dolphin head coach, including a Monday night victory over the eventual Super Bowl champion, the New England Patriots.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
keep.
So that's a good one. All right, interesting. If you guys agree with color, put in there if you're going to keep him. Otherwise, if you're going to fire or trade him, tell me who you're trading for or that you're going to be firing him. Put your thoughts in the chat, please.
Yeah, that would have been a good trade. B. McD says he would have traded him for Mike Shanahan. That would have been a good trade, sure.
Yeah, that would be a good one too. Hey, who knows? That may have been a family affair if Mike Shanahan was the coach here, and let's say it was very successful. Kyle could have eventually been the coach here.
And I'm thinking that Jim Bates was their DC when Mike Shanahan was there getting his Super Bowl rings, if I'm not mistaken.
2000. Let me find it real quick. I had it here. Hold on. He was with Denver. Here we go. 2007. In early January 2007, Bates was signed on by the Denver Broncos to replace Larry Coyer as the defensive coordinator. However, defensive backs coach Bob Slowick was promoted to the defensive coordinator position, and Bates was named assistant head coach / defense. In 2007 season, Broncos defense went from 9th ranked in the league in scoring in 2006 to 29th in 2007. Ooh, that's not really good.
Ouch.
Yeah, that wasn't a good year for him, bro.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
well, all right. Maybe I'll fire him. Yeah, fired.
Damn, color changing minds. Damn. All right, let's keep it going, color. Next person on the list. This one, I have a disdained hatred for this man.
I'm sure you do. I can imagine who it is.
Both at the college level and how he kind of turned his back on us. Okay.
Oh, that guy.
Nick Saban. Let's talk about Nick Saban. Would you keep him knowing the type of head coach he is today? Or would you fire him, or would you trade him for somebody else?
Even knowing what he is today, I would trade him.
Okay. All right. Who would you trade him for?
Jimmy Johnson.
Really, bro?
You know why?
Why?
Because Jimmy did something Saban couldn't. He translated from college to the NFL.
That is absolutely true. Oh, man. Nick
And he was
Saban-
a Hurricanes coach, and Saban's an Alabama coach. So there you go. I would trade Nick Saban for Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. Nick Saban, if you didn't know this, actually, when he started out coaching, he's been all over the place in regards to the history and experience that he was as a coach. He actually coached, I believe, at Michigan State for a hot minute. And I want to say he coached in Cleveland for a hot minute, too, I think. I'll have to look that up, but I think he did.
Well, Nick Saban reminds me of that guy, the Will Ferrell character in Wedding Crashers.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the guy that isn't he the one, or was it Kramer in Seinfeld? The guy that was the one that was training. Oh, it was Kramer with the training with the karate kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But he's been look at this coaching experience, bro. And he actually was even with my favorite team for a hot minute, and I didn't even know, bro, when it comes to college. So he started off his coaching career at Kent State, Georgia. Then I'm sorry, not Georgia, Kent State. And then he was with Kent State as a linebackers coach, and then went to Syracuse. From Syracuse, he went to West Virginia. Then he became Ohio State's DBs coach for a year. Then went to Navy, of all places. And then he was the defensive coordinator / DBs coach at Michigan State for a few years. Then he went to Houston Oilers. Then he became Toledo, where I went to school for a hot minute and grew up. He was their coach for a while, and then went to Cleveland Browns. That was his one NFL stop. Went to Michigan, LSU, then Miami, and then ended up in Alabama, bro. This guy has been everywhere. Only one stop prior to Miami as a coach of some form in the NFL. And it's all been college, bro. This guy was bred for college football. He needs to stay there. I would either trade him, but to be honest, I wouldn't even trade him. I would fire him because of what he did to the Dolphins and turning his back on them. That's just my opinion. So,
the part of that traveling might be why he's such a good recruiter in college. He's got a lot of
100%.
networking connections.
And if you look at the area he came from, going from Kent to being coaches at both Ohio State, Michigan, we're talking about blue collar country essentially, and then going from Syracuse to Navy to Alabama to LSU, all these places that he went, right? All of these places he went to actually adds up to one thing, and that is that he can diversify his recruiting and see talent from all over, not just in a central area. And that's why he's so successful.
Or he can just call up the guy from Navy and be like, who you got on the docket?
That's true. He could. I mean, what I'm basically saying is that there's a lot of he's been all over the place. You could tell he's very well traveled, and with that experience, I think that's what makes him so successful at the college. Right. Coaching. I don't see him as the NFL coach. I don't think he was. I don't want to say he was over his head, but I don't think he got the start he wanted, and he got a huge offer from college, so he booked ship as soon as he could. So. And
look, some guys just aren't. I mean, look, the NFL is a whole different ballgame when it comes to head coaching.
Mm-hmm.
With college, you're leading men, you're shaping young minds. Whereas in the NFL, these are all professionals. Again, it's like what I said last year about Mike McDaniel and how, look, he's a first-year head coach. What are the concerns? And my biggest concern was, hey, what happens when your defensive back comes up to you and tells you he's got the clap? You know what I mean? Or something like that. You know, that's stuff you don't deal with in college. You know what I mean? You order around the kids in college like they're little soldiers. It ain't like that in the NFL with these professionals, man. And by the way, I don't want to say that I don't want to take credit for that prediction or nothing because it ended up being false, you know? But it's kind of ironic that the coach actually had somebody come up to him and tell him that, you know what I mean?
That is really ironic, to be honest. Oh man, yeah, Color. I agree with you. I definitely the professional game.
That has to be the most spot on take I've ever made, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely. Color. Let's keep it moving. My time is limited.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
All right. The next guy, I think I know where people are going to go with this. Cam Cameron. Do you keep, trade, or fire him?
I mean, can I get some of my money back after firing him?
I want a refund and then some. Just being honest. That's what I would want. Put it in the chat what you guys think. Color, I'm assuming you're going with fire. Is that right?
Yeah, like pink slip and everything. Like no severance pay, no nothing. You don't even get to clean out your freaking desk, man. We're keeping that shit. Excuse me.
Damn. Damn, Color. The next guy, honestly, bro, I kind of feel like we didn't give him a long enough shake compared to other coaches that preceded him. And I honestly think that I would keep him based on what he was able to do as well as what he could have done had he been given more of a tenure. Tony Sparano. What do you think?
Oh, by far keep.
I would keep
one of the biggest blunders we've made in the last 30 years.
Yeah, I honestly liked him. I thought he was a great coach. I love Tony Sparano. I think there was some other issues going on with personnel and stuff that we had here that he didn't have a longer stay. But just go look at what he did he was a coach in Minnesota, and I want to say the Raiders for a while.
Well, yeah, exactly. So basically he brought heart back to our locker room. Mm-hmm. Okay. Made us believe in ourselves again, made us feel like winners. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then he gets fired here because of politics. And he goes to the Raiders and does literally the same exact thing with them. Gets all kinds of heart brought back to their locker room just to have Jack Del Rio take over. Then he goes to Minnesota, where he becomes the offensive line coach during the time when Teddy Bridgewater made it to the playoffs with their team. And everybody says, well, they had a great running game. They had a good defense and a great offensive line. Well, that offensive line was built by Tony Sparano.
Yeah.
Before he died. And now look at them. The guy dies, and now look at them. Yeah, sure, they're still winners, kind of. But it ain't like nobody's trusting their offensive line. It's not like, hey, we traded Jesse Davis to them.
Well,
do you think Minnesota takes Jesse Davis if Tony Sparano's still alive? I don't think so. The guy is a great coach. And I think he's probably the most underspoken about coach in league history. They didn't even mention one word of him when he died.
That's true, Color. I agree with that. But I think. By
the way, one other thing, and this is where it comes to the keep for me. Okay. Mm-hmm. In a 21-year span, there is only one coach in the entire AFC East that has defeated Bill Belichick for the division championship before this latest incantation of Buffalo. In a 21-year stretch, there's only one coach that defeated Bill Belichick for the division title, and that is Tony Sparano. One in the entire league. One coach defeated Bill Belichick for the division title.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, Color. I agree. I'm going to keep him too. I think he did a lot for this team, and he brought heart back to the Miami Dolphins. You got to remember, I think it was the year before that we went 1-17. It was something ridiculous. Or 1-17. What am I saying? We went 1-15. I want to say we won one game that season. So yeah,
right. And Sperano came in and turned that around to 11-5. Literally reciprocated the freaking numbers.
He did. He literally did. But let's keep it going, Color. I know my time is limited, and I know I want to get through the rest of this list.
Without a quarterback, by the way.
That's definitely true. Without a quarterback. That's actually my argument on why we should have kept him, because had we kept him and actually drafted an actual quarterback or brought in a real quarterback to play for him, I think we would have had we could have gone on and won more it gets to the playoffs more frequently and actually win a lot more games, to be honest, under his tenure. The next guy on this list, I would have kept also, especially if I knew who the next guy was going to end up being, the guy after him. Todd Bowles. I think Todd Bowles was a good interim head coach. He had respect of the players. Defensively, he's always been really good. He would have kept our defense top notch. I think we would have been a top 5 defense under him for years to come. And I think he arguably deserves the spot that he has. Or I believe he's still the coach at Tampa Bay, right? He's still with Tampa Bay.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I think he definitely deserves it. But I think I would have kept Todd Bowles. How do you feel, Color?
It's between keep and trade. At that point in his career, I probably would have traded him, because for the same reason we didn't keep him is because he probably wasn't ready for head coach at the time. And I think the Tampa coach at the time would have been a great place. Like we could have sent Todd Bowles to Tampa a little earlier in his career and picked up whoever it was, whether it was Gruden or Dungy. I don't know who it was at the time.
Yeah,
I'll take either one of them. So I probably would have traded him for Tampa's coach.
Okay, I'll tell you why I would have kept him, because there's 2 factors. One, when we let him go, who did he become the head coach of? The New York Jets. And under his tenure, they didn't have the offense or whatever, or it was a blunder here and there. But he definitely had a halfway decent defense. And that's the truth based on that. And
see, Scotty's making an argument for me to change my mind to keep.
Yeah, that's why I would have kept him. In addition to that, look who preceded him. And we'll go directly to the next guy, because this is why I would have kept him. Joe Philbin, Color. And I'm sorry, but I want my money back on Joe Philbin. In addition, had I known Joe Philbin would have been Joe Philbin that we saw, I would have rather kept Bowles at that point.
Right, exactly.
That's kind of like, I would have kept Bowles and he would have been the head coach had I know what we would have gone through in the Joe Philbin era.
Exactly. I would actually trade Joe Philbin, not fire him.
I don't know who would have accepted, to be honest.
Well, if we're talking in a if that's off the table as far as whether people would take the trade or not, then it's hard to say. But if we're going idealistically, I would trade him to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
They could have him right back. They could have their offensive coordinator right back, and I'll take their quarterback.
If that was an option, I would have done that in a heartbeat.
So it's like effectively being fired, because I'm not trading you for another coach. I'm trading you for a player.
Yeah, I definitely understand. Hold on one second, Color.
It's probably worse than being fired. It's like trading Landry to Cleveland. That's probably worse than just cutting him.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Who was our offensive coordinator during the Philbin era? That was the head coach of Green Bay.
Who was our OC when Philbin was here?
Yeah.
Bill Lazor, wasn't it? Or no?
That was Adam Gase. The guy that used to be head coach of Green Bay.
God, I can't remember now.
Hold on 1 second.
I thought we had already had Bill Lazor here when Gase got here, but I guess I'm wrong.
In a second, who it was? Not Dan McCarthy. Let me find his name. Give me a second.
Mike Sherman? Did we have Mike Sherman here? Really?
Was it Sherman that we had?
It might have been. I think we did. Maybe. I don't know if we had Mike Sherman.
It was. It was. Yes.
Dan Henne. Dan Henne?
No, it's Mike Sherman is who I'm thinking of. Mike Sherman was the head coach of Green Bay, right? And he was also the head coach of the Texas A&M, where Tannehill came from. So obviously he drafted his QB. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That's where that connection went through. So I honestly think, in some ways, Mike Sherman, doing the fact that he already had NFL head coach experience, that led the Packers to 5 consecutive winning seasons from 2000 to 2004 and 3 divisional titles in 2023. I'm sorry, 2002, 2003, and 2004. I honestly think he should have been head coach, not Philbin. Philbin should have just been in the offensive coordinator position.
And was not Philbin Sherman's OC in Green Bay, or was he there later as OC?
I want to say he was not necessarily the OC at the time, but I think there is a connection there with Green Bay.
I know Green Bay. He was Green Bay's OC for a time. I just don't know if it matches with Sherman being the head coach.
Let me look that up real quick. Let me see. He was Green Bay's head coach in 2000, and then he was the head coach and general manager from 2001 to 2004 and 2005.
Oh, no kidding. They gave their head coach full control, and they had 5 consecutive runs. Okay.
That is actually correct, Color. Hold on.
I wonder where I've heard that before.
Yeah, I definitely hear that.
Boston.
Let me pull this up here to see. So the 2003 to 2005, Philbin was under Sherman. So that's the connection.
So he hired a guy that he worked under to work under him.
Yeah.
What a nut, man.
Yeah. So
what a nut.
If I was Miami, I would have been like, wait a minute, you're going to bring Mike Sherman here? Hold that thought. Mike Sherman, come here. Philbin, we're going to go ahead and promote you to offensive coordinator.
If that ain't some NFL nepotism, I don't know what is, bro. We were destined to lose with that team, man. I don't know. Wow. Hindsight is 2020, is it not?
Just being honest, that's why I think it didn't work out.
Wow.
Right? I honestly think if Mike Sherman was the head coach, because of the experience he already had, both as head coach and general manager, right? And all of the experience he came with prior to that, with all the college experience, I honestly think he would, be pretty decent. What's pretty interesting also, Color, it seems like all these big time coaches have a connection to my favorite college team. Currently, Mike Sherman is a offensive and analyst for Ohio State. Did you know that? Everybody leads back to my favorite college team. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, Color, that's honestly what I think would have been. It would have been a better option. So, Philbin, fire or keep, trade? You're saying trade is what you were saying?
For Aaron Rodgers, yep.
All right. We got 3 more to go, Color. Let's try not to make it too long.
All
Dan
right.
Campbell, keep, fire, or trade?
Keep.
I would have kept him.
And that's why I changed my mind on Bowles for the same reason. I didn't want to be throwing shade on Bowles and then turn around and keep Campbell. Keep them both for the same reason.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Campbell's definitely becoming a hell of a head coach in Detroit. You know, Detroit last season, I've mentioned it before, and I'll say it again. They had one of the highest, I think they were like top 3 or top 4 highest points per game that they were scoring.
Right, and remember the reasons I hate Bill O'Brien? The whole, oh, we're 8-8, playoffs. That's all that matters, playoffs. Well, the reason they were 8-8 that year is because we whooped their rear 44-12 in their own stadium with Dan Campbell.
That is right. We did whip them with Dan Campbell. In addition to that, Dan Campbell, like I said, their defense is the only question mark that Detroit had, and they have really invested a lot into that in this past draft, let alone still revamping their offense to be even more formidable than they were last season. So Detroit is an upcoming team. They're my dark horse to win their division, to be honest. Actually, not even dark horse. I want to say they're the favorite at this point. Based on the fact that Aaron Rodgers is no longer there. They still have the Vikings to deal with, but it's going to be either Detroit or Vikings winning that division.
And that reminds me very quickly, Ali, I know you got to go. That reminds me of the quarterback list teaser. Top 25 most productive passers. And you guys are not going to want to miss the show. You're not going to want to miss who lands at the number 3 most productive quarterback passer of 2022. You have to tune in. Make sure you're catching it. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell, because you are not going to want to miss who the outside guy is that landed at number 3 most productive passer of 2022.
100%. So, Color, we got 2 more names on this list. All right. One of them is very eye-popping of what I'm going to say right off the bat, and no puns intended, specifically on who he is. Adam Gase. I'm going to fire Adam Gase. I wouldn't keep him at all. I wouldn't trade him. Just get him off my team.
Yeah.
The reason for that is he had a great, successful first year. But after that, bro, it was like one disaster after another.
Hey, if Cameron gets the pink slip, Adam Gase gets the magenta slip.
Yeah, definitely. Not even fuchsia, huh? Going with magenta.
Right,
huh?
Going right to magenta, man. Maybe even metallic maroon.
I'll go with Japanese blossom at that point. But yeah, Adam Gase get the pink slip. What do you think about even outside of all the controversy and issues that we had when it comes to coaching and the success that this next person had? If we're just talking about football standpoint, what do you think about Brian Flores? Keep, fire, or trade?
Absolutely keep.
All right. I think he was very successful. He showed that he could be very formidable in a complete rebuild. You remember, we nuked this team in 2019, right? Everybody go, oh, you want to give us a shit ton of draft picks? Here, have it. Okay, two first rounders? Here, take it. No problem. That's basically what we did. And then we built this team from the get-go, and he had back-to-back winning seasons. You know what I'm saying? Very good, positive seasons for us, and we've been on that consistency. We even now under McDaniel, we have another winning season under our belts. You know what I mean? And I have to give it hats off to Brian Flores, because I think he set that tone and foundation for where we're going forward from here. So a lot of people may not want to give him that credit. I know that takes kind of hot based on the controversy on how he left our team. But at the same time, I have to give credit to where it's due. He also is responsible for kind of building sort of the foundation of our defense that we know it today, was drafted under his tenure, and what we know of our defenders, a lot of our defenders that we have here. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Color?
Well, I see some of the comments coming in. He set us back. He's a complete clown. Well, that's all fine. But the fact of it is, his winning percentage is higher than Mike McDaniel's. So there you go.
That is true. That is true. His winning percentage, as at this point, is higher than Mike McDaniel. That's true.
I mean, I know we're only going on a 1-season sample size, but there you go. His winning percentage, even with a 5-11 season, Brian Flores' winning percentage is higher than Mike McDaniel.
Mm-hmm.
Until that changes, I'm not even going to tell you all why I say keep, because it's a moot point. Y'all are just going to disagree with my points anyway. So I'm just going to say keep and leave it at that.
I got you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, It's currently 8:40. I got to go to work. I'm already 40 minutes past my time normally. I only did this as a courtesy because I wanted to play this game with y'all. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Put in the comments what you think of the show. If there's something we're doing that you want to see more of, please let us know. You know, this is a growing, evolving show, and we're only going to grow with you, the community, and the fan base. So that's the way we want to run things around here. But Color, any final thoughts before I let you go?
Other than thank you all for turning out this morning. We got a pretty good viewership this morning. Appreciate you all starting to come around more often, and remember that we're going this early, and we'll try to keep it going consistently every day, Monday through Friday. So I think the more that happens, the more y'all will have people to chop it up with and chat this early. So I appreciate all of you that are currently watching, you know, roughly 30 of you, and you know, appreciate y'all coming by every morning. Hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because at some point today, I will be releasing the top 25 most productive passers of 2022, according to the Color Curator, which does not lie.
The Color Curator. I love it. Can't wait, man. All right, man. Well, fins up, everybody. We love you. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, first thing at 6 a.m.
Yeah.